from all over the world. And really, we are grateful to our senior dignitaries like Dr. Madan Thangavelu sir, Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji, Jagdishwar ji, Agnihotri ji. They have blessed this platform. And today, Dr. Madan Thangavelu sir from UK has introduced us to 5 dignitaries of Ayush in Sweden. We are really grateful to all speakers and all dignitaries. The moderation, he is the excellent moderator, Dr. Madan Thangavelu sir. I would like to request for the moderation to Dr. Madan Thangavelu sir. Kindly, stage is yours. Now, kindly proceed. Welcome, sir.
Pawanji, namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you for once again holding us all together in this wonderful platform. And the hard work that goes in, not many people realize, but there it is. We are fortunate today to have guests from Sweden. At a time when there is so much global turmoil, these are the kind of expressions of solidarity of a new kind, where people from around the world are connecting with not just India, but deeper down with the deep knowledge system, and that knowledge system about the science of life and health and well-being. So welcome our guests from Sweden. And I'm hoping that this is the first of a start of engagements with Sweden and other countries in that region around the Baltic Sea, the Nordic countries and the Baltic countries. I have a total of about 9 to 10 countries there, small countries, but very, very important in that part of the world. And this expression today is also echoed in Latvia. We have had guests from Latvia previously. Professor Valdis Parāgs and his team joined us. So today, let us hear from the citizens' mind, citizens' expression of why they want to connect with Ayurveda and how they are connecting and what they would like from Ayurveda and the Ayush systems for the future. So here with us, starting with the most senior person there, Eva Schinkler. Eva has spent many years in India. For the last almost 30 years, she has been engaging with Ayurveda and Ayush systems. And her passion is to take Ayurveda forward across Europe. Stina is there holding everybody together. And Sara, who is here, also has studied Ayurveda in UK. And she, as far as I know, she will tell us a little more. She imports herbs and particularly herbs from India. And she will tell us about the effect these Indian knowledge systems are having on people there. And we have two Vaidyas of Indian origin, who I don't know if they have joined us yet, but they will join because they're busy with their patients. So we won't wait for our two Vaidyas from the two lovely ladies to join us, but we will continue and they will join us. I pass the floor to Stina, and Stina has in her mind how she wants to manage the event today. So number one, Stina, the floor is all yours. But before I hand you on, I want to thank everybody who has joined us today. And I see some new people here with us. I want to thank our senior teachers, Vishnu Prasad Sharma ji from Guwahati, and Professor Agnihotri ji from Uttarakhand, Namaskar ji, and senior colleague here with us, Dr. Jagdishwar Doma, joining from Telangana. So welcome everybody. Rajan Patankar is here joining from Mumbai. So thanks to everybody, and I leave the floor to Stina. Stina will organize the rest of the interactions. Stina, all yours. Thank you. Stina, I just want to add, Stina is joining us today from London. She has come to London for her Ayurveda course, being run by the Ayurveda College in Milton Keynes. So this is also an expression of the power of connectivity across the world and how Doesn't matter where you are, as one of our earlier speakers in one of the sessions said, it doesn't matter whether you've forgotten your passport, you can still travel the world today on the internet. It doesn't matter whether you're run out, whether your passport has run out, or whether you missed your flight, we can still connect on wonderful meetings. So Stina, all yours. Please take us through. Namaste. Welcome.
Namaste. Thank you so much. I'm so happy being here, and it's an honor for us to be invited to this event. It's fantastic, and we are so happy that you arrange all these fantastic webinars and spreading Ayurveda everywhere in the whole world. So thank you so much for inviting us here. And today we will talk a little bit about Sweden and how Ayurveda came to Sweden once, and what the status is now. So I guess I can share my screen, and I will take you through the history, a little bit about the history in Ayurveda. But first of all, I really need to show you a map, so we will know where we are. So Sweden, and I am a surveyor by my education is that I'm a surveyor engineer. So that is why maps are something that I love to show to people. So Sweden and Ayurveda, we do have connections, and the connections, I have just started to learn Sanskrit now, and I can see that the connection goes way, way, way back. We can discover that a bit later here. But if I start to just introduce myself shortly and how I found Ayurveda, it was in 2013, so it's almost 9 years ago. I was working as a manager, and I was kind of stressed out, and I was going for a management course. And that course was learning about the personality types. And I felt that my health wasn't so good. So I thought that it's good for me to study something that could get me healthy. So I grabbed a book at the library that I had no idea of what it was. And this is the book. It's a book on Ayurveda. It's in Swedish. And when I went to this fantastic management course, we also studied about the personality types, and during the evening I read the book on Ayurveda, and suddenly I discovered that it is the same. So what I learned during the day was exactly the same as I could study in the book on Ayurveda, and that got me very interested in learning more, and I also learned about my health. But since I worked as a manager, I thought that perhaps there is someone else in the world that also got the connection between Ayurveda and leadership. So I was Googling leadership and Ayurveda, and I found one person, and she's here today. So Eva Schinkler, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you put that on the internet too, so we could manage to meet. And so I think it took another 2 or 3 years when after I found you, and we started to do this. You coached me for a few years, and I was also implementing Ayurveda where I worked. So my employees, they got to learn about the personality types, and you combined it with the strength-based leadership, and that is so much Ayurveda. If you go to the sattvic state of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and people can really benefit from not only to learn about themselves, but also how they get when they're not in balance. You see here, this is my personality type. It's a little bit red, and that is Pitta. So this tells when you are stressed, then you go out and be like angry. And then when I read about Ayurveda, I understood that that's not really how it's supposed to happen if you're very balanced. So we can learn so much from it, not only about the stress, but also so much more. But that's how I started my journey. And I went to Eva Schinkler's course Ayurveda life training, and so many things happened at work, and I felt that I need to do something else in my life. So I started the one-year course at the American Institute of Ayurveda with Dr. David Frawley. And then I went to India to have some practice in Pune for the International Academy of Ayurveda with Subhash Ranade. And and now I am in UK learning more, and it's fantastic. So this is a little bit about me and how it happened that I started to learn Ayurveda. And this is a wonderful picture from the Sweden. So this is how Ayurveda can be brought into the nature of Sweden. And when we discuss about Ayurveda and how to bring it to another country, I think it's necessary just to understand what is happening in Sweden and what is the difference between India. We have like 1 month every year that the sun doesn't show at all. So this is the northern lights, and this is the Arctic night called Kamos. So the sun doesn't show any time in 1 month, and in the summertime it's the opposite. So the sun is shining the whole day around, and it is so interesting if you can imagine how sweet our strawberries are during the summer because of this fantastic sunlight. And I'm sure that you can describe it as well with the Ayurvedic terms as well. So, but in Sweden, to understand how Ayurveda can be used, then we need to understand what's the issues for the public in the public health in Sweden, and what we can see is that more than 50% of everyone in Sweden are obese or find themselves having a little bit overweight. So that's almost half of the population. And then we can look into other statistics here and see that the death caused by medical drugs and other drugs has increased by 80% the last 13 years. It's quite a lot. And many people suffering from anxiety, and women and men, this is how this has increased the last years. And the most common cause of death is cancer, and it is cardiovascular disease. And of course, many people suffer from stress and anxiety. So this is a little bit about what our Folkhälsomyndigheten says about the public health. So and how they think is important to gain health, and they say that ability to have a salary and to have a job and education and the environment, they are factors that causes health or disease, and we know that many of our diseases are related to lifestyle, and that is how Ayurveda can contribute to our healthcare system, we think. So just so you can follow how this happened in Sweden, I will tell a little bit about the when Ayurveda came to Sweden. So many people, or quite a few people, they went to India, and that was like in the 70s. They went to United States and to India, and they learned a little bit about Ayurveda. And so Ayurveda was brought to our country perhaps earlier than this, but this is what I have found out. And several different organizations like Sri Ayurveda and Maharishi Ayurveda, and the first established schools was by Mayur Stigengren. It was called Ayurveda Skolan, the School of Ayurveda, and the other school is formed by Johan Ljungsberg, Scandinavian Ayurveda Academy, and Maharishi Ayurveda also has connections to Veda House in Stockholm, where they have still have education on Ayurveda. And then there is Sri Ayurveda. They don't have any organization in a school, but they have a few Indian doctors coming to Sweden, and they do lectures on Ayurveda as well. And from the Ayurveda Skolan, then it was divided into 3 different schools. So the Ayurveda school in Varberg, the Ayurveda school or human health in the north part of Sweden, and then Eva Schinkler's Ayurveda life training. So this is the schools that are still having education on Ayurveda in Sweden. And when we say education, it's not like yours. It's I think it's around 250 hours, and you are becoming an Ayurvedic practitioner or lifestyle consultant. So to deal with all these lifestyle diseases, we found it very sufficient to work with the lifestyle. People, are not really having healthy habits. Some people are very, very, very healthy, and some people are not very healthy. But we still consider eating salad as something that is really healthy. And you know what salad does in this cold climate? It just increases vata. So it's kind of, and then when people come to us for consultations, then we understand that, well, it's just to bring some hot water, and it would make a huge difference for everyone here. And what happened here, like in two weeks ago, that was, we were in, we decided to, or I was so inspired because I went to this fantastic webinar in 2019, and Ayurveda Symposium. So it started there, and I felt that this fantastic symposium would be so nice to have something like this in Sweden. So I decided to gather all Ayurvedic practitioners, because over the years, more than 6,000 people have been educated in Ayurveda, and that's quite a lot. But not that many are practitioners now. Most people have been educated because they want to use Ayurveda for themselves. So around, I think we can be around 200, 250 practitioners all over Sweden. And we are also some doctors like Sangheeta, who will come here later, and Dr.Tejal. And there are also some Swedish doctors been going to India to study Ayurveda. And that is fantastic. We're there, we will perhaps tell a little bit more about them, and it would be lovely if they can join sometime as well. So, but I went to Germany, and I had a lecture there on Ayurveda and on healthcare and mental health in Sweden. And I thought that it would be lovely to bring people together. So I called up Eva and said that, please, can't we do something like this? And she said, well, I will support this. And she was a mentor to the project. And I also had some other partners where we did do this. We prepared for the meeting. And 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting in a webinar in Stockholm from the Indian embassy, and we also had people from IRES. So I'm so happy to bring all these people together. So it was amazing. And Dr. Madan, Professor Madan, you were also there, and we had Peter Katt from European Ayurveda Association. And I was also elected to the board of the European Ayurveda Association. So yes, so this is what has happened, a little bit about the history of Ayurveda in Sweden. And since we do have problems with our health, of course, then we see that Ayurveda can do so many things for us. We see that it's a trend that people are so interested in their health here. And many people feel that they don't have the health that they feel that they can have. So many people come to us because they have suffered from so many diseases, and they feel that they don't get better going to the healthcare system. Many people are also being vegetarians now, looking for plant-based food. and there is an increased interest in the body, mind, and soul concept. And perhaps this need to be addressed as well, because a few hundred years ago, we did split, the science and the church. So the church took the care of all the related to the spiritual practice or the mental health, and the science took care about the science. So we kind of split this up, and it was kind of banned to be a spiritual practitioner in Sweden. So I think that many people are now so, and we realize that we have to connect the body, mind, and soul again, and we cannot find how to do it in a professional way. But that is how Ayurveda can help. Yoga is also one of the sister knowledge to Ayurveda, and Ayurveda and yoga. I think we can bring them together more, because now today it's more like people are educated and they have lectures on yoga, and then they learn a little bit of Ayurveda. But there's a fantastic man called Göran Boll in Sweden, and he managed to, he has implemented yoga at over 300 hospitals in Sweden, and that is amazing. So this will be perhaps our help. And when we gather all practitioners, we see that there are so much things that we could do in Sweden, and we need to create a platform to speak the same language, and we need to have a network on Ayurveda. And this is our goals before we had the webinar, and we felt that after the webinar it was so necessary to gather all and build a foundation and to have an association. So that has started now. So we will have an association for all the Ayurvedic practitioners, and we also see that we will we need to have some education that meets the quality standard. Then so we can have these discussions with the politicians and with people who have no idea of what Ayurveda is all about. So by building this strong foundation, we hope we can also do research on Ayurveda. There's one research on Ayurveda, and people in Sweden, when we look for research, or when people look for research, it needs to be Swedish. But if you go to the northern part of Sweden, then they will tell you, well, all the research must be done at our university in the northern part. And if you go to the southern part, then they say, well, we need the research, but you need to put it here in the University of Lund. So there are some things we need to deal with, and we need to, our brains is like more, we need to address Ayurveda in a language that would be understood by scientists and by politicians and by people who have no idea about what the chakras are. I was telling Professor Madan the other day that perhaps if you just add one chapter in the anatomy and physiology book that is on chakras, wouldn't that be easy? The easiest way to have the knowledge of the energy into the educations. It would be amazing, I think. So the vision for the long term that we showed at the webinar in Stockholm, it is pretty much that we want Ayurveda to be a part of the Swedish healthcare system, and we want people to benefit from Ayurveda and need to bring it more to the science and to research projects and to implement it in schools and everywhere. And in the long term, we really hope that this could be done with the help from you, from Ayush, and from government of Sweden as well. So this is pretty much what I would talk about today. So thank you for this first part. It's lovely to talk a little bit about Ayurveda, and I think some more things will be clarified because we will go on with an interview with Eva Schinkler. So thank you so far, and I will stop share my screen. It takes some time, I guess. Let's see here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have given an excellent survey of how Ayurveda came to Sweden and where it is now, and your wish and vision for the future about education, about research, and some of the challenges, which is within the country, the North saying one thing, the South, that is everywhere in the world, even in India, it's just the nature of us, but somehow we come together and we make things. And also some other details that you've given us. Now, for all attending, you know that all these presentations are recorded and they are archived on the website, so you can revisit. And for those who are here who want to ask a few more questions, we missed the last slide of yours, Stina. If people wanted to contact you, I think you had some details on your last slide. Did you want to flash that up on the screen so in case people wanted to contact you, they know where to find you? I think you had, am I right? You had something on the last slide. I wouldn't have known if you hadn't put out the slide sorter on the side. So now I know.
Oh, sorry. yeah. So
the next slide, so that in case people want to know where to find you, then Stina's contact details are on the bottom left-hand image. So I particularly like that one slide that you showed about your Pitta nature. And that was very interesting. Maybe you will tell us a little more about how you arrived at that image. And maybe it's through Eva's program or something. I don't know how you came to the triangle where you have different personality types and how you arrive at that. So I leave it with you, Stina. Oh, Dr. Atik is there. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Atik, you have some attention here from Professor Madan.
Maruf, namaste.
Would you like to say hi?
This is Professor Maruf Atik, who has the Ayurveda College in Milton Keynes here in London. Maru, Dr. Atik, namaste.
Yeah, here. So
welcome, swagatam.
Thank you.
I hope we will bring Dr. Atik also into one of our programs in the future. Dr. Atik studied.
Oh no, Professor, how are you?
We would love to have you in one of our future programs.
Definitely. I was just
so
talking to Stina as well about it.
Yes, we would love to have you because we want to hear about your college, your studies in Sri Lanka, your contacts, and how you came to
going
UK.
quite strong. Yes.
So we would love so much to have you. Thank you for sneaking into the room. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope to see you all again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ji. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Namaste. That is so fortunate that Professor Atik could join us. And for a few words, Pawanji will arrange for Dr. Atik and his students and everybody to join us in one of these programs. So Stina,
yes.
I thank you. I thank you and everybody here on the platform and those viewing on the internet too. They all join in to thank you for this wonderful introduction to Ayurveda in Sweden. Now, I know you have something in your mind about how you want to do the next part, so I leave it with you, Stina. Thank you.
Yes, okay. I will try and just, sorry, I will just try to connect with my headphones again. So.
No, you sound very good without the headphones too. Your audio is very good. If you don't, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we will try. You just tell if it's too noisy in the, here.
Okay. No,
yeah, but. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, yeah, wonderful that Dr. Atik could be here as well. It's so nice to, this is the first time I'm doing the four-year course in Ayurveda. And this is the first time that we met in person. So it's amazing to see people. And especially now I'm doing Sanskrit class as well. And I understand how important it is with the sound, how it vibrates in you when you meet people, it's totally different. And that wasn't I aware of before. And I must tell you, just before I go on with Eva, I must tell you, but because a few weeks ago, I joined your webinar on Sanskrit as well. And I have discovered that there is a connection between the Swedish language and and Sanskrit, of course. And there is a word called samband. I hope I pronounce it right. And it's the same in Swedish, it's samband. And that means connection. So it's so lovely. That was the first word that could connect from Swedish to Sanskrit, and that was actually samband. So it's lovely, and also there is some connections between the northern mythology and the Vedas. So we will discover that, and I hope we can tell more about that later. But
thank you very much. But before you bring Eva on, I just want to add to this lucky happening that Athavle came into the room.
Yeah, and he has COVID, so that's why.
So what we will do, maybe with your help, we can learn a little more about the Ayurveda College in the UK, and maybe you can organize something with Dr. Attic and the people there. And I think many of the people coming to our platform would like to hear that also, about the Ayurveda College in UK, in Milton Keynes. And Pawanji will coordinate something for us so that people can also learn about how Ayurveda is being taught, what are the challenges when they have a college like what Dr. Attic does, and what is the future. I think it's good to share that knowledge too. So I leave this with you, Stina, and now platform is again back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, so me and Eva, we have been working a little bit together now, and we thought that it might be good if we just, if I ask Eva some questions and she can answer. It's so lovely to hear her version about Ayurveda, and I will just start to introduce Eva, because you are a nurse and you've been working in the public health care, and if you tell a few words about yourself, who you are and how you came to study Ayurveda.
Okay, thank you for having me here. I'm so very, very happy to be in this team. Well, it started when I were studying as a nurse. I went to an anthroposophic hospital and did my paper there. And suddenly I find someone who gave me a book about Ayurveda. And I felt like I knew it, I just had to learn it. So actually I was searching for studying Ayurveda in Sweden, and it was very, very little in Sweden during that time. It was Mayur. And I went also to United States to David Frawley, and suddenly I came to a college in Rishikesh where I was studying. At the same time, I was teaching Panchakarma, and I also went, and there were also a clinic for poor people. So I was actually together with the doctors and patients during that time, and I learned enormously. And I also during that time took with me my family. So my small children started to learn about Ayurveda during that time, and they were like 9 and 11 or something. So that was my really fortunate.
Eva, where was this in Rishikesh?
Yes, it was in Rishikesh, and it doesn't last any longer. So okay. I can send you some more details about it.
Because Professor Agnihotri here is from Uttarakhand, and he knows the state very well.
Okay. So yeah, this was back in.
Ma'am, had you been in contact of Dr. Dhananjay Srivastava in Rishikesh?
Yes.
Dr. D.K. Srivastava.
No, I would say it was the doctor was. I dropped his name now. I will send you some more details about it.
Okay, because he is visiting your Sweden also, and he's having a very good establishment there in Rishikesh.
Okay.
As a Navjivan Kayakal Center.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Just near to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIMS, Rishikesh.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had been my student, and he has covered almost 50% of Europe
Okay,
and
fantastic.
delivered to one lecture. Yeah.
That's very nice. So I learned Ayurveda in a very nice way up in the north part of India. I came back to Sweden, and I also had, I was a registered nurse. I have went in to study behavioral medicine and health psychology, as well as international public health. And when I came back, this was like 25 years ago, I started to establishing an Ayurvedic clinic in Åre, where I live, up in the northern part of Sweden. And as I had a good relationship with the head of the healthcare center, actually I was working not in the healthcare center, but parallel, so to say. And I had patients, and I was working with this patient, and it gave me enormous experience to all these different issues people had, and how their physical is intertwined with the psychology and the spirit. So I was actually building my experience by having all these patients, and of course that gave me a very, very, I was very appreciated to learn Ayurveda by this way. Yes, and after a while I felt like I went actually to California, and I meet the people who work with Ayurveda during that time. It was Dave Frawley, it was Deepak Chopra, and many other. And I also met the California Ayurveda College, some that have this school in northern part of California, I think. And so my wish grew to start a college or some sort of education program in Sweden. So I started in a small, step by step, a little bit in a smaller scale. And suddenly I have founded Ayurveda Life Training, which is a Swedish way, could you say, to learn Ayurveda. It's very different to how you learn Ayurveda in India, for sure. I just want to say something about my past life, because Madan, you mentioned something. It was actually like when a doctor came, it was many doctors came into these lectures, and one day it was a woman doctor, a female doctor, and she was working with women care and children's care, and she told me, Eva, because I had a sari, and she said, Eva, you not look like an Indian woman, you are an Indian woman. And that was what I felt. I felt like, I felt so home. The first time I took my feet on the ground in India, I felt I was home. So for sure I had this background, and I was, it can be very different between Sweden, which is very clean and structured, and then I came to India, and it's so different, but I felt really home. Anyhow, I understood. And actually my mentor in India, Dr. Mahan, he said to me that you have to bring Ayurveda to Sweden and take it into a Swedish way, because otherwise they will not understand. So my passion has been to not losing the importance of Ayurveda structure, but translate. I feel like I'm a translator to translate it into a Scandinavian language, in how we can use this universal tools to have a balance in our life. Yeah, a little bit of that.
It's fantastic, Eva. And I remember the first lecture that you held at the Ayurveda Life Training course. It was, you described the Pancha Mahabhutas, and it took a weekend for us to understand. So just so you understand how long time it takes for us to shift our knowledge. Is like you said, that you have everything you have ever learned, you just have to forgot, and then you have to relearn things from the start. And learning Ayurveda in Sweden, you did it so beautiful, and I find it so logic, explaining about the 5 elements, or the because we can relate to that, we can relate to nature. So that is so nice. But if we go on a little bit and talk about Ayurveda and in Sweden, how would you say that Ayurveda is recognized in Sweden today?
If I just like when I started 25 years ago, it was really, really hard to even talk about Ayurveda. No one knew what it was, and especially not the healthcare system. And if there were anyone who knew something, they find it very unscientific. So it was very hard. But now it is like Ayurveda has catch up the trend with yoga, as you mentioned also. So there are, because there is a yoga center all over Sweden, in small out on the countryside where I live, or in the small cities, big cities, everywhere there's yoga. So it starts to like a movement of how yoga can be something more, I feel. So actually, I just booked with a center nearby me to have. I offered them to have a like introduction to Ayurveda, and it's a yoga center. And I feel it's a longing to know more. And I think that's the best thing, because yoga have pathway to Ayurveda. And now it's the time to actually, even if I have been working for 25 years, it has been a really, I could say, struggling many times, because my passion is Ayurveda, but you have to eat and have a shelter and so on. So you have to work, and that's I became a leadership consultant, and actually also connected Ayurveda, like with management, so I could actually teach my managers Ayurveda management, and that's really amazing. So yes, I find interest in spiritual knowledge is really growing, and I think this pandemic period here has even stressed this even more, because many people have started to realize that they can die. And in Ayurveda, for me, we also have this path from how to treat life from the very beginning, from pregnancy, childbirth, all over all these cycles in life, all the way to have a peaceful death. So actually, right now I start up something called Death Cafe, and workshops about how to create a peaceful death and help support your family or people who are dying in a way, how you can give them a spiritual way of caring for them in a path of death. So and that's for like just 5 years ago, if I said Death Cafe, I think people have really get scared and wonder if I was a little bit mad. But today it's a huge interest. And I think, Stina, we have been struggling a lot with with this, but I think there is a part, it's always like a small part, it's like 20% of the people who are kind of taking the step to move and start a movement. And I think we are reaching something like 10-15% right now.
It is amazing. And we discussed earlier that mostly the women are the one who is leading this in Sweden, at least. And I think it is the same all over the world, pretty much, that what the shamans have been mentioning years, that women will lead the next revolution towards health, a healthy world and a healthy human being. So we cannot say that Ayurveda is not really recognized in Sweden, but people learn all the time, and there is an increased interest. And there are a few when you go to the bookstore, then you see that there are some more books every year on Ayurveda. So you were one of the first one who wrote books on Ayurveda, and it's also translated to English. We should share that as well. So how everyday life with inspiration from Ayurveda, it is called.
I just have it in the Swedish one right here. But I can put it out on the link with a link or something.
Yeah, I can write in the chat box when I can rest a little. So what do you when we discussed about Ayurveda in the future, how would you think that Ayurveda can contribute to the Swedish people in the future, near future and long term?
In the near right now, I can see, with this massive public health issues in Sweden, as you mentioned, with so-called lifestyle diseases, cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes, obesity, depression, all kinds of lifestyle issues. I can see that this knowledge that Ayurveda brings in is a long evidence-based knowledge and proven experience, which can be used very successfully and also in a low-cost way to increase health for everyone. And I think that's the part that there is in the healthcare system. They are very keen on medicine, with working with pathology, and see the sick part of a person. As I am from this point of view of salutogenesis, which is a research from Aron Antonovsky's research long back ago, he was pointing on what is the strength and healthy part in people, and this so to say strength-based platform part is more like Ayurveda's stand, that we are looking for what is healthy in a person. When even how sick they are, we always look for what is healthy, and Ayurveda has a long tradition of working with to strengthen the healthy part in a person, not treating the sick part of a person. And as we do here in Sweden, we use all these kind of measures like, with education and balancing different lifestyle parameters, diet, nutrition, increased self-awareness. It's also a very spiritual way. If you want to, and that's the biggest difference between the salutogenetic way, because they are trying to implement that in Swedish healthcare as well, because so many people have these different lifestyle issues, and they are taking a very big part of the healthcare. So there is they're trying to educate people in the healthcare system with this salutogenesis direction. So I can see Ayurveda take a bigger step into how people can take their own responsibility and also strengthen themselves. So that's why I think that would be an enormous fortune for contribution to the whole healthcare system, because I was looking up the sum here, and in Sweden 2020 we spent like 500 billion Swedish crown in healthcare, and that is 10.9% of the GDP. So it's ill health in Sweden amounts an astronomical sum. And of course, in addition, you have to see the reduced quality of life and suffering due to the ill health. So this trend has been going on for the last 30 years. So it's obvious that our way to work with lifestyle issues doesn't work. So that's the main part I can see that Ayurveda could really contribute to public health in Sweden. Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Yes, and when we meet people who are working at hospitals and doctors, would they just come and say, yes, please come and join us and tell more about Ayurveda, or how do you think this will happen?
Well, I have to go back to my own experience, because when I started my clinic here in Åre, actually the doctor who was the head of the health practice here, he was very supportive to me. And it was here in the northern part of Sweden, there is actually a bigger interest, a greater interest of alternative or complementary healthcare than it is down in Stockholm and in south of Sweden. So actually I have had quite a lot lectures for both doctors and nurses and all kinds of healthcare practitioners and professionals. So and also I worked, in like in AstraZeneca for the research department, and they are very well educated. And I'm a little bit nerdy, so I actually has been studying very much physics, and I was like that's I think is a strength in my method of be this link between Ayurveda and our knowledge. It's I could explain it in a way that they said, this is logic. No problem. This is so easy to understand. So I went that way, and suddenly some of these people, they became my, greatest supporters. So I have never felt it has been difficult to actually reach out to them. But then the next step is, how can we get it to like Socialstyrelsen, what do you say? I don't know what Socialstyrelsen is in English, but the department for
health and the regulation,
the regulations in healthcare. Yeah. So, and they are very negative to all kinds of complementary healthcare, because they are very influenced by the big pharma, could I say? Yeah, my father. Yeah,
it's amazing, and over 50%. The government tells that over 50% of people who are having chronic diseases, they are looking for help from the alternative medicine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that in the same time that we know that this is something that needs to, people are asking for it, but it is in the same time ignored by the politicians. Some of them.
Oh yeah, the most part of it, because otherwise it has been a change. But as you mentioned, I can just say that the nutrition and how to eat, they don't have one lecture in the medicine education about that issue. So then we can understand that they don't know anything. And if a doctor became sick, what does he do, or she? She's going, I met so many doctors going to Kerala, to these Ayurveda centers where I used to bring people with me. And you find them there, and they also see that it's something lacking in the education for becoming a doctor. So yeah, we are on like a stone age still in the education. So
and the system doesn't really allow it, but many people have the interest in Ayurveda, so that is amazing to see, and in alternative medicine. But if you what are the proposal on how to improve public health in Sweden, if you could say?
In my view, I think everything starts with education. If you don't know anything, you don't have any suggestion what to do. So education, and in successful interventions program that succeeds in the long run, it's knowledge is introduced in a given area, and for sure this is about lifestyles areas, they consider to have the greatest effect. So if you can give people education on their level, that's the thing. And of course, it's not enough to have knowledge, you need to practice. So we also need to dealing with lifestyles diseases in a practice way, and that's, as we can see, is like food, movement, and inner peace. We know that can change a lot for people's health and have the greatest impact on the health. And Ayurveda has a long tradition and knowledge and proven experience on helping patients improving these particular lifestyles problems. And the third thing, lastly, is a supportive environment. And you mentioned school. And actually, I had a program in a school here up in Åre long ago, 20 years ago. And like a school can do very small thing to really improve health for the kids. It's just like they did here. They started with a meditation every morning with a, calm music and meditation. That was all. And that's a very easy way how you can introduce just step by step. Another way which would be extremely easy is to just give the opportunity to people so they can drink hot water at the working place. That could also be, very, very small steps, but step by step. So that's is how I see it. And actually, my suggestion to go forward with this vision, you were talking about, Madan, this vision we have. And actually, I see we should start something maybe called National Ayurveda Education Program. So we can educate therapists and people, so they can go out and work together with the healthcare, together with the managers and so on, with teachers, schools. And one suggestion I had, that this program could be supported by European Ayurveda Association as well as from Ayush, because we know a little bit about Ayurveda, but we have a huge lack of tradition and how to put up a program that can be sort to say something that can contribute in the long term, just nothing very short. And actually we were talking about that, and I see also important step to bring the Swedish herbs and plants together with Ayurveda, and that has been a long thinking. And I think it could bring a greater link between Ayurveda and Swedish tradition if we can show the Swedish herbs how they work in Ayurveda way. But then we need professionals in Ayurveda to translate the Swedish herbs into the system of Dravya Guna, because it's very complicated for us. And I highly recommend that we start an intervention program how to treat a certain type of lifestyle disease like obesity or diabetes, for example, and have it evaluated against the patients who receive conventional treatment. That could be very important. And for that sake, we need both Ayurvedic doctors and we need a conventional doctor that can be a link that is positive to Ayurveda and that can hold the scientific part of it, so to say. So my wish, since 25 years when I started, I think, is to inspire the Swedish Public Health Agency, the government, the business community and the public that there is a long evidence-based knowledge and proven experience in Ayurveda, which we can use in a successful and in a low-cost way to increase health for everyone. So I would continue with that, I think, for another 25 years or something.
So happy, Eva, that you tell us so. It's so inspiring, and I'm sure it will be successful. Ayurveda will find its own way. So this is what we try to hold here. Excellent.
Before I And I just want to, I sit up in the north part in Sweden. As you can see, it's an old wooden house. And I just want to give you all a perspective on what it looks like here. I don't know if you can see anything.
Oh.
Yes, it's perfect. Yeah, we see the small house and the lovely mountains and the snow. Yes.
So yeah, it's very spiritual up here in the north.
The water mountain is supposed to be a dragon under it, so we will see if you find it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for me. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stina, for pulling out all these stories from deep in the heart of Eva's heart. Your house, Eva, what you have shown us in wood, this would be very much like some of the traditional houses in Uttarakhand around the age. So I think there is a deeper, even deeper connection to Uttarakhand. Your liking for timber houses is just, I think Professor Agnihotri ji is shaking his head. I think he agrees that your house there looks very much like the house in Uttarakhand.
You really caught the point. This is a fact.
This is a fact.
This is the pattern of having such type of hut and houses.
Yeah.
Eva, you have found a way from Sweden, all the way to Uttarakhand, and without knowing, you are now living in a house that will look just like houses in Uttarakhand. So it reinforces the suggestion that your soul is Indian soul, and there you are. You are meeting with your families.
My family, yes, my family.
Yes. So thank you, Eva. Thank you so much. I hope you will. I know you are busy, but I hope you will stay with us.
Yeah. I would say.
Thank you. And now, before I give the floor back to
Shillong also, Madan Thangavelu, such type of house is available at Meghalaya, Shillong.
In Meghalaya, see,
yes,
Vishnuji, you can see an old Indian soul, unfinished karma, and the deep connection to Ayurveda. You see, so this is there is something happening here, and it is a deep connection with some past lives. All these people have Indian souls. So Vishnuji and Agnihotriji, you can see where our past lives take us and how it connects, pulls it back. So here we are. I leave it.
You see, as Ma'am Stina Andersson already told that the word Sweden in Swedish language, it is sambandh, and so is in Sanskrit. So definitely it is a hidden sambandh, hidden connection in between not only Sweden with Uttarakhand, with Himachal Pradesh, with Jammu and Kashmir, Meghalaya. Our northeast hill states are always having the same pattern as Eva Ma'am shown. So this is really, we are all in connection.
Wow. Yes.
Certainly. Yes. Namaskar, madam. Hope see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Really impressed by the death cafe concept. Excellent, sir.
Pawanji is also Ayurveda and a management. He's an MBA, and he likes your idea of the death cafe. Tell us a little more before we move to tell us just a little more how you came to this idea, because the reason why Pawanji has started this webinar series was because of the negative thoughts and all the negativity with COVID. And now you have connected it so beautifully with that whole life course and why we must have a pleasant way.
Because our concept of Mahamrityunjay mantra, sir, Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Vandhanat Mratyurmukshiyam Amratat. Like a fruit, when it separates from the stalks easily, without any pain. Without any pain. The concept of real peaceful death is hidden behind that. That, okay, God, please provide me the stage when I will have no pain and I will go from this world peacefully. Really, madam, I am impressed. Please communicate your concept.
How did you arrive at this, Eva? How did you, because it's such a difficult thing, people fear death, you know. And you have said, we must become friends with death. And it's a,
well, it's a very long story. I was actually a cabin attendant in Scandinavian Airlines in my young, and it was a crash and also a bomb threat over the Atlantic Sea. I wasn't not in it, but my colleagues were. And actually I was pregnant, and I got very scared for flying. And as I understood, I will continue flying. So I was really jumping into this fear of flying. And I started to work with it. And actually I came in contact, this is 30 years ago, and I came in contact with near-death experiences. And actually my grandmother had an out-of-body experience. And when I started to work with as a nurse and at the heart emergency floor, I met so many people that could tell me about these out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences. So that has been following me since 30 years. And nowadays, you know, you can just go out and look on YouTube. There is million and million people who have near-death experiences. And then I went into the Tibetan book of life and death, and I've been into this spiritual path for quite a time. And as people around me have died, and my mother died 1.5 years ago, I really saw the miserable way how people go towards death. And for me, I also had a very hard experience, because I almost died in sickness 2009, just before I actually published my book in blood. Vad heter blodförgiftning, Stina? Yeah, in a disease with the blood. Okay.
Blood poisoning, yeah.
Yeah, blood poisoning. Yeah, and actually, it was okay for me. I never was scared. I was totally satisfied if it was so that I was going to leave. I was laying at the hospital and I was alone, and it was fine for me. And I was so really, I find it very strange that I didn't have any, I wasn't grasping anything, and it was okay. So that really started for me to, I have to search even more. And I think through everything I've been into, it's, if you want to live a balanced life, if you want to live in peace with yourself, you have to consider that you one day will die. And if you also start to understand what is dying, is just going home. You know, it's going home, because if you're open to this transformation, it's not about, you know, in the Western culture, it's nothing. You're going to nothing, and of course that scares many people. But in this more Ayurvedic and the Buddhistic way, as I see it, you have this, you have to, like, if you want to live a balanced life, you have to learn certain things, take certain tools to you and practice it. And if you want to leave this life and go to the next life, you also need to educate yourself with different tools that you can use in the life, in the death state, and also after the death, when you are between this life and the next life, and so on. So yeah,
we are so fortunate to have you here, and so fortunate to have you explain this thing. And in preparing the soul to go to where it needs to go is a very big formality in the Indian systems after death. But that is a ritual. Now, what you are saying is what should be done before you come to that stage, you know.
Yeah.
And there are many philosophers who say that a person has lived a bad life and now they're dead, at least give them a good send-off. So that is after your death. But what you're saying is there is a lovely period even before that where you can be kind of refreshed in some way, you know, you can get back to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry
Thank you.
for this distracted question, but you have given us more to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are many, if you look through the comments, there are many comments in our chat box, Eva, that is, people are saying they're so happy with this discussion today. And there is Nilakshi Dev Chowdhury, who is so happy that you are here, and many other comments. We will come back to this after we have gone through our round of presentation. So I give it back to Stina. Stina, all yours.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. I love this conversation that happens here. We are not so used to that way in Sweden, so we learn so much from you. And Sara, you will soon come and talk about this lovely thing that you are doing. We were discussing about Swedish herbs and how we can use the Swedish herbs. So explaining, and we had, you know, Madan, you've been telling about Professor Linnaeus, Carl von Linné.
So I wanted to thank you, Stina. I'll just say a little bit, you know, every time we talk about herbs and we say there is a Latin name associated with herbs to make it uniform across the world, and there are two halves to the name, a Latin binomial, we call it, and that system of presenting the name of plants was given by a Swedish person, Carl Linnaeus. And Linnaeus, at that time when he started giving these names, he was both professor of medicine and botany. So at that time, plants provided the healing power. And if you wanted to study medicine in Sweden, perhaps you can see Ayurveda, the whole science is sitting around herbs and understanding plants much well, you know, several thousand years before Linnaeus. And Linnaeus really gave us that, took it to the world from the foundation of how to identify a name of plant. So this is very, very helpful that we have a uniform language. And he was in the university in
Uppsala.
Uppsala University.
Yes.
Uppsala University. He was professor of medicine and botany. So this is the connection between plants and human health, and how we are going to move to Sara and her connection with plants and health. Sara, thank you. Stina, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing. And I was brought up, and my father is a farmer, and my mother is a nurse. So there's a perfect connection between Ayurveda in me, I think. And they have been writing, you know, a book about all the flowers on the southern part of Sweden. So when I had it, I thought that, well, this is well done, but you've forgotten the most important thing, and that is how to use the herbs. And as you said, Madam,
can I interrupt you?
Yes.
There's just one question that has come up from Dr. Alok Sharma, who was with the Sanskrit group. I'm just interrupting you because it's just to keep you thinking about, and also for Sara to think about. Alok ji is today in Rishikesh, and his question is a very interesting one. He says, can you mention a few Swedish plant names and utility? So I leave that there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, I can mention now, but I have to, you know, I cannot do like Linnaeus did. I cannot. I don't know the names in Latin yet. So, but I know some of them in Swedish, and I will just translate it so you can have it as well. So we will take a look into every plants and see what are the qualities and how can we describe it. But Sara, you are doing a wonderful work using herbs, and you have a company that is called Sattwa Herbs, and that we can understand it must be something ordinary that makes us so healthy. So please, Sara, can you give us a lecture on how it is from your end of the southern part of Sweden about herbs, please?
Yes. Hello. Yes, I will. Can you hear me? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we will get back to this, explanation of a few Swedish herbs maybe later on, because what I'm focused of telling you today is a little bit about how I work with the herbs, of course, and also how I work with the patients, the clients in Sweden, because now we're getting very practical. I think Dr. Sangheeta and Dr. Tejal and me, we are the practitioners in Sweden also, and Eva also, and Stina also, but we will be telling you a little bit about the more practical aspect, how we address the Swedish people in practice, and try to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to present a presentation also. So Stina, I'll see if I can share the screen. I'll give it a try and I'll see. I think so.
Yeah. Thank you. Sarah, it hasn't. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
There you can see it. Yes. So yes, you can see. Can you see it? Yeah. Yeah. What I do, I have a message to the Swedish people, and that has to do with the digestion and with the herbs. That's my passion, the digestion and the herbs, to translate that into, to make people understand that it is all possible to achieve a happy digestion with herbs and simple dietary tools. You know, we can't really use any medical words. So what you're going to see now, I'm using all the other words I can in the Swedish vocabulary, which are not medicinal, because we are not allowed to do that. If we do that too much, we get the eyes of the authorities on us. So I'm trying to even use very simple words in order to explain the beauty of Ayurveda. And that's also why I will explain later. Another thing, I'll get to that. So my mission is, or my goal is to show the Swedish people that it's all possible to achieve a happy digestion with herbs and simple dietary tools. Let's see. And my role and my goals, I'll tell you about 5 different things today in my presentations. And the first thing, my role and my goals as an Ayurvedic practitioner in Sweden is first to teach the Swedish people about digestive health. And they know a lot, of course, but I'll tell you more about this. And also, there's a strength in the way Ayurveda presents dietary advice, which is really beautiful and simple. It has to do more with how you eat and what you eat. And that is a simple way of introducing Ayurveda to the Swedish people also. And then I'll tell you a little bit about how I, Sara, and Sattwa Herbs, which is the name of my company, help our clients. I can't call them patients. I have to call them clients in Sweden. And how I help them to achieve a happy digestion. And then I'll talk about the gunas. The gunas are so beautiful. I had a brilliant teacher, Dr. Akash, he's called. And when I studied in the UK, and he told me, if you know the gunas, and this is so simple, but I really listened when he talked about this. If you know the gunas, you know everything, because everything is based on the gunas. And you all know that is the way. And I think that is a very simple and beautiful way of explaining Ayurveda, and a simple and beautiful way of connecting our Swedish heritage with Ayurveda, because the gunas, they're not Indian, they're not Ayurvedic, they are a simple way of, a living life for me. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then also I'll talk about the herbs, of course, in Sweden, why that is my passion, and how it works in Sweden. It's not as simple as it is. We have to do it in a different way in Sweden. We have to blend it ourselves. We can buy ready-made products, but it's difficult to use them because sometimes you can get the government eyes on you again, and then it's difficult to practice. So I'll tell you first a little bit about me, who I am. This is a typical for Swedish people. This is a natural picture. I love the nature, of course. We have a lot of snow in Sweden, and me, Sara, I've always loved the nature and going skiing. That's, even if I live in the south of Sweden, we don't have a snow in the south, but in the north. And my journey started also as I had a mother who was quite alternative. We have had, I mean, eating very healthy and eating raw food, I would say. Today we call it raw food. We had a movement in Sweden in the 70s where we ate raw food and things like that. That is how I was brought up. And then when I studied at university, I started to study a Master of Public Health at Karolinska Institutet. And that was the most alternative I could do in Sweden by then. And I was happy with that. But then I worked for several years and helping companies to minimize stress. But after a while, I got fed up with that and wanted to get back to what I really love, herbs, and to learn herbs 100%. And then, you know, there is only Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, which have the herbs really documented in a nice way. There are, of course, in Tibetan medicine and Siddha and all of those also, but Chinese and Indian was more approachable. And I also, as everybody else here, I probably lived my life in India before, because India was a major choice. It was a very simple choice. I just needed to learn more about Ayurvedic medicine. And I then choose to study in London, because by then that was the only university outside India which I could find. So I studied a Bachelor of Science there, and I did my internship at Alva's Medical Ayurveda College in Karnataka, Mudbidri. And that was also very good to do some internship in India, also to see Ayurveda and modern medicine in practice. So that is me, yes. And the herbs, what I have tried to do with the herbs, I started as a practitioner sitting in consultation, and that is different from what you do in India. And I know that Dr. Sangheeta and Dr. Tejal will talk a little bit about that more, the difference between doing it in India and in Sweden also. And then I made a blend for everybody who came into my practice, a personal blend, of course, because I learned from the beginning with my wise teachers in the UK that it's better you learn it completely to blend yourself, because it will be very difficult to buy ready-made products in Europe. So since I loved herbs, I thought that was a nice challenge to do that. And I don't know, I probably had a former life with herbs, because it's just there sometimes for me. And of course, I taste it, I smell it, and I love to blend the herbs together for different clients. That is really what I love. I love to grow them also, but to blend them to make a perfect fit for the perfect patient. That is what I really like. And to, of course, to see them heal and to get better also. Yes. And of course, in Sweden, as you have understood, I think we have to work with the whole, in India also, but herbs is only a tiny, tiny part of Ayurveda in Sweden, I have to say, today. It can be bigger, and it has to be bigger, but we have to work with the whole picture, Ayurvedic lifestyle. That is what we do. So I try to incorporate that, of course, also. But my focus has been the digestion, because I think Ayurveda is so brilliant. It's so easy, as Eva and Stina has also said before, it's easier to translate Ayurveda if you have simple ways of explaining it. And when you explain to people that it all starts with your digestion, they do understand it. And today, I have to say, just in the recent 5 years, so many people in Sweden have problems with their stomachs. So many people have bad digestions. So it's very easy. It's already there. People know that it starts with the digestion, even though they don't really practice it. But still, the knowledge is there much more today. And that's very good. Yes. So the first thing I do then, that's to teach Swedish people about digestive health. And as I said, it is not difficult today to do it, but it is difficult to make them, practice the tools, the Ayurvedic tools, which I use, and I know many of you practitioners use, because they are so easy to tell the patients. I will tell you about the 5 tools I use. And I use them because I get such beautiful results with the patients in Sweden. And they are very simple, and you all know them. And I'll tell you about that a little bit later also. But another strength of Ayurveda in Sweden and approach I've been trying to use is the dietary advice, because in Sweden everybody's focused about what to eat. Should I eat a carrot or should I eat broccoli? And should I eat that or should I eat that? And that's very important. And some people who learn about Ayurveda, they learn to eat about Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And that's also important, as you know. But in my word, it's much, much, much more important what I try to tell people, because most people are not educated in Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So it's a big step for them. My goal is to reach even people who doesn't know about Ayurveda, who are just want to live a healthy lifestyle. And then you have to explain it even more simple. And if you shall explain it even more simple, it is this way. It's very important how you prepare the food before it comes in your mouth. And then the whole process starts. Because we don't have any teeth in our stomach. That is what I usually say. And this helps a lot of people. They realize that and they say, oh, that's a beautiful way of putting it. So Ayurveda is so beautiful. This is the beautiful way of Ayurveda to explain it to the public in my way and many other ways. And what do I do then to help people and Sattva Herbs? What I do is, as I said, I have 5 tools. And the first tool is, of course, my herbs. And the herbs I have tried. First, when I sat in consultation with people, I gave them a personal blend. And then I thought, it's not possible to make this into 3 Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Agni digestions. You have to find a nice word which people like. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Agni, I call them. I know it's much more than that, but that's something people could relate to, because people have heard about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and they get curious. Do I have a Vata stomach? Do I have a Pitta stomach? Do I have a Kapha stomach? So they get something to relate to, something to then also to get to know their stomach, so they can learn what they need to get better. So the herbs I have put together for are different blends for a Vata stomach, which is all, it's not, I mean, it's with an imbalanced Vata stomach and an imbalanced Pitta stomach and an imbalanced Kapha stomach. And that has shifted over the years. When I started with this 10, 15 years ago, the Kapha people, they were quite, very balanced. They didn't need any herbs. They could balance their digestions with only dietary advices. But today, everybody needs herbs, and even the Kapha digestions has completely crashed. Yeah. Yes, that's the herbs, and this is what I do for the clients. And then what I do is the 5 core tools I speak about. And those tools I'm going to tell you about in the next one. I think you know them. The first is herbs, of course. And the second is a mung bean soup or casserole, I would say. I know that Dr. Sangheeta and me, I remember 15 years ago, we sat, I know that mung bean soups has been in Sweden, and khichdi we have in Sweden. But this is a mung bean soup, which is quite clean. It's only mung beans, and I tell the clients to use turmeric and cumin and coriander and hing if they have. Hing is difficult to get in Sweden for some people. So very basic, and of course ghee. This picture has a little bit of creme fraiche, we say, and a little bit of mango chutney also. But this simple mung bean casserole are so many people today who are using. And Sangheeta and me, Dr. Sangheeta and me, many years ago, we sat when we were going to have a lecture together. It was a fantastic way for me to start in Sweden also with Sangheeta. And then we thought, what should we call it in Swedish? So we found out that mungbensgryta, mung bean casserole, would be a great way in Swedish. And it's a beautiful way for us to help people with mung bean soup or casserole in Sweden. Many people do that, many people, and that's great. And it's a beautiful way when the client feel how it feels in their stomach. They can feel how it should feel when you eat food which you can digest. That's why mung bean casserole is so beautiful. And then we have ghee. I don't have to talk enough about ghee. Ghee is just so amazing. I even put ghee in the herbal blends I have. And we can't do it the full way in Sweden. We have to be inventive to do it halfway sometimes, which might for some of you doctors who are listening today be a little bit against certain things. But this is the only way. We have to make it practical for people to take it. And if we put a slightest 30% of a blend has ghee and the 70% is herbs, and then they put it in hot water and it solves, and it works very well for most digestions. That's a beautiful way of doing it. And then you have hot water. And there are many people today who drink hot water in Sweden. So we have come very far in that. And those tools, and of course, the fifth tool is everything you know. The most important thing for most people is to eat regularly. And then also I would say that to eat regularly and to eat warm food, not cold salads. Those are the other aspects. And then the fifth tool are so many different things you can use. But with these 4 tools and eating regularly, I achieve very beautiful result with the beautiful clients I have, because it is so it's simple Ayurveda in so many ways, and that's why I like it. So yes, I think I will not talk too long because there are more people who have to talk today and we have other things to do. I'll just make a quick thing about the rest of the things here. The gunas, I say. I use the gunas as a simple way of explaining for people. I tell them, what do you do if you have a dry skin? Of course, people know. We make it soft. We put some oil on it and we make it soft. And this makes people understand that I can learn Ayurveda. I don't have to know Vata Pitta Kapha. I can do the gunas, and then I can learn it easier. And I tell them that they already know a lot of things, because if they are very stressed and irregular, they know what should you do with yourself. Make yourself more regular. This is the way I explain it. And this gives people confidence in believing that I can control my own health. And we have lots of things. I mean, my grandmother and many grandmothers and grandfathers has always told us all these things in Sweden also, but it was in a Swedish way, but they're very, very similar to those things. And then we have the last thing, the herbs. Yes, I hope we have maybe an opportunity to talk a little bit more about that. I have to be honest, I know we can translate the Swedish herbs into the Dravya Guna of Ayurveda, but the thing is, if we're going to start to use it now, we need the herbs now. We have to start, we can translate them, but we also need to get the herbs out. And so far, we don't have the knowledge to really, in Sweden, to grow the herbs on a bigger, you need bigger farmhouses and everything. We don't have the knowledge yet. We don't have the weather yet. It's kind of complicated. So I want to help the patients now, and I want also to introduce more of the Ayurvedic herbs, but we can try in one way or another. It would be beautiful. We could try to use the gunas or the Dravya gunas, all of those things in one way or another. This is a big task to translate the Swedish herbs into the Dravya guna. In one way or another, could find a connection in between so Swedish people could understand it more. I think Swedish people are open to eat more, Indian herbs, because they are more potent, medically potent. And I'm not pessimistic, but it's a difficult task to grow medicinal potent herbs in Sweden. It's very difficult. So maybe we can do a little bit of everything to make them, to extend it into the Swedish pharmacology, but also to try to get it more into everyday life for people now, like it is today. Yeah, it's a difficult task, but we will reach further. Yes, my goal in the future and what I want to do is to contribute in this way. I want to open Sattva Herbs, or yes, mini pharmacies where people can go into and get their own prescripted personal herbal blends. And we don't have anything like this in Sweden. We have a lot of health shops who sells a lot of ready-made things, but this is nothing we have in Sweden. It would be beautiful to do this if we could. And I think people are ready for it now to get their own personal herbal blends. And we only need small shops, but a little bit everywhere, so people can have the opportunity to get one also. And today we have web shops and online, so this is how I operate right now with Sattva Herbs. I'm only online right now. So I'm starting there, and then we can make it, I get help so we can make it those small mini herbal pharmacies all over Sweden or Europe, or where we can place them. Yes, I want to say and finish now, your way to happy digestion. That's my goal also. It starts with your digestion. And if you want to have a look what I'm doing, my website is in English also. We just translated it, so it's not perfect, but that's my Pitta speaking, but still have a look. If you go to sattvaherbs.com, you'll find the English translation. And you can see what I do and what I try to achieve with the herbs and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. This is amazing. Your last point, that is your wish for the future about the mini pharmacies. This is something I was discussing with somebody who is here with us today, who is joining from Toronto, from Dr. Harish Verma. And we were discussing exactly this thing about those mini pharmacies.
Yes, wow.
And how we should have it. And in India, there is some thinking along these lines. Although for Western medicine, in Delhi, they have something called the Mohalla clinics. The Mohalla is a small region or a small street, you would say, a street clinic. And we were just discussing this yesterday. And I think if Harishji is here, at some point, he will join our discussions. Sara, thank you so much for this amazing experience. And so happy to hear that you spent time in Karnataka. You were in
Alvas,
Alvas College. Yeah. This is so amazing. Do you connect with them? Do you stay in touch with them? Do you travel back to Karnataka sometime frequently, or? I don't know how
I have Dr. Akash and my teachers and the teachers there. I'm connect with them and all my classmates. Not Alvas Medical College, I would say so much, because I was there for a few months, and then I actually went up in Connor also to study, because I had to learn Westerners a little bit more. I learned a lot at Alvas, but snake bites and many things I couldn't use at home. So I went up to the mountains to learn from a doctor there also, and I stay in touch with them a little bit more actually, but to learn how to treat Westerners, because that's what I had to do. They have we have different approach. Yeah, you know.
I have one question before. I think Stina is still here with us. I want just one question, which is your herbs. You made a very important point that to get the medical therapeutic potency of the herbs, you find it much more in India. The herbs.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so stubborn in that point. But I sometimes buy herbs from Sweden or from other parts, and I'm very picky with the ones I buy from India. Also, to be honest, I taste them, I smell them, and they're not potent. I can't use them. And there are two different, that's why I say maybe there are two different routes we have to take at the same time. One, to get these mini pharmacies going so we can help people now. And then we can try to translate and to make, I mean, the Swedish herb or the Samish, we have small herbal tribes, I would say, but with Samish people who have a lot of where we could also, could be beautiful to do something with them. It would be amazing. So, and also maybe people would listen to us more, I think, because they listen to the Samish people. So how would you see an interaction in that space between India and Sweden? Because it sounds very exciting. It sounds very, very. Were you thinking about the mini pharmacies or the?
Yes, the mini pharmacies. Yeah. Because it looks like you have spent a lot of time thinking about it. How do you want to?
Yeah, I have. maybe I feel so. I have Dr. Sangheeta Tejal and all those, but we are so few in Sweden who know a little bit about herbs. I need some support, I think, just to advise and also a community where I can, is this a good idea, do you think? And also import which herbs, all those things are very big also, import
and
things.
Sara, we do have a man, he's called Janne Hallqvist. He is a lecturer at a school in the northern part of, so close to Stockholm in Sweden. I went there for a course, and he is also a Ayurvedic practitioner, and he knows a lot about herbs. So we have contact with him. So that is one way to. And I think the best way is to connect people who have interest in herbs, and also the Samic people, and to connect those with the Indian people, because we need to understand the energy of the herbs. And also I feel that many of the Swedish herbs, if you talk to someone who's working with only Swedish herbs, they will tell exactly the opposite. The Swedish herbs are so much more potential than the Indian herbs, because we live here and we are in from this environment. So Sara, we will have an argument.
But Stina, it's different to grow in your garden. That's a completely different thing. But to grow medicinal herbs on a larger scale, we really don't have the knowledge.
It's more about
that's
the
a two
business
different
and how
things.
to set up the business, and that's it is.
But to reach more people, to in your garden you can grow beautiful things, but not in a larger. I mean, it's very important how you dry them, how you pick them, everything. I mean, as you know, so that's two different things, and I think,
Mm-hmm. And the only thing, how we know how to pick herbs, it goes back to the cultural traditions, and what every woman knows in Sweden. It's what you do the 21st of June. Then you have to jump over 5, what do you call them?
Yeah, we have a lot of traditions, but those are more traditions.
And then we have to pick the flowers and put it under our pillow, but because then we will dream about the husband we will marry. and this is, but I would tell this because we have so many of these traditions that we kind of ignore, and the stories have been told from generation to generation, but we have lost so many of them. But there are so many stories exactly like this here. And some people still knows about it. We just have to find them and to connect with those stories again. That would be amazing.
We can do both ways, Stina. That's what. Dr. Madan, I just want to tell you about how you could help with the mini pharmacies. I'm sorry, Stina. I'm just getting back to that.
No, it's fine. Go back.
I think I would. A major thing is actually the biggest problem I see is that every time I try to buy herbs in Europe, and I have tried to starting to import also, but is that every time we can't, the supply, it's very important. All of a sudden you start to use Bring Garage, and then it doesn't get accepted by all of a sudden we can't use it. And then I start to use another herb. And for me, it's not a problem. I mean, since I can put in another herb, but I'm not allowed to do that. Everything has to be so controlled. So if I could have our own secured way of importing, where I know I get very high quality, that would be lovely, with someone who could help with that. That's a major secured as possible. The word is crazy and so sad in many ways today, but we can, if that would be lovely, someone who could do that.
Guarantee a good quality.
Yeah, with high quality.
I hope you will stay with us, because I can see Tejal is here with us. So
we have to keep going.
Stay with us because we want to come back. There will be some questions about.
We will.
I think I leave it with Stina to. Stina ji.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well,
thank you
it's
again,
so interesting.
Sarah.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah, wonderful, Sara. It's so amazing to hear and discuss these herbs. And it's also one thing that we have been talking about is how how to manage being an Ayurvedic practitioner and have a salary. And it's so important that for many women here are not, you know, we have to make money as well. So that's one part that we are having a discussion about, how to manage in a professional life, and being able to help as many people as possible, and who are very established here is I think that Sangheeta, are you here as well? Yeah, okay. It says another name. That's making me so confused. But you've been here all the time, haven't you? Yeah,
I've been here.
And Dr. Tejal as well. And I see that we are running like out of time a little bit. And Dr. Tejal,
Yes.
are you fine with going after Sangheeta, or do you need to leave? I know that you are not in.
I have 30 minutes where I can sit now. After that, they will close this place.
Okay, I see. So perhaps we will go with Dr. Tejal. Is that fine with you?
No, it's okay. We can start with Sangheeta. I will wait.
Yeah, Sangheeta. So will you start, and then Dr. Tejal will join soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Sangheeta, please, you are you having your own clinic in Stockholm, and you do Panchakarma, and you do pretty much everything. So you have both experience from both India and from Sweden, and you're treating Swedish people, and you've been doing that for many, many years now. So I would love to hear a little bit more about me and everyone else here.
Stina. And namaste to everyone. So it's my honor to be here. And so I actually come from Kerala, and I've studied Ayurveda in Raipur. I did my BMS, and after that I did my Panchakarma course at Kottakkal Ayurvedashala in Kerala. And I had the blessings to learn from Dr. P.K. Warrier. He's no more, late Padma Shri Dr. P.K. Warrier. So that was the most beautiful learning experience I had after my studies. And then my interest was always in women's health. So I actually, for a year, I practiced with a gynecologist and the obstetrician, almost like we'd say barnmorska in Sweden. So I used to conduct deliveries and assist in operations and all, just to look at the Western perspective of women's health. And at the same time, in the evenings, I used to practice Ayurveda. So I really gained a lot, and I felt even more proud of being associated with Ayurveda, because the Ayurvedic wellness-based approach to health was very unique. So after that, I established my own clinic in Nagpur, because I was traveling all over India actually. So in Nagpur, my husband was working, so I had my Panchakarma center there. And at the same time, I was also having a Kottakkal Ayurvedashala agency where I used to practice on their medicines. So during that time, my husband got an assignment in Sweden, and so it was around 2001, I think, I came to Sweden for the first time. I still had my clinic in India, and I was having that for another 2 years or so. So another challenge was when I came to Sweden, after practicing in the mainstream Ayurveda as a doctor in India, coming to Sweden, you suddenly feel lost. Now you don't know what to do, because around that time Ayurveda was not at all known. I mean, there was definitely Ayurvedic centers, but I don't think people had an idea that Ayurveda is studied, or we have universities and you have this long education, and I think at that time it was only me as an Ayurvedic doctor in Sweden. And later I heard there was one Swedish man who studied BMS in India, and if I'm not wrong, his name is Christopher. So I always thought of like meeting him and seeing like how to practice Ayurveda in Sweden. So anyway, while practicing in India, the goal or the focus was disease management. So, you know, as an Ayurvedic student, when you enter into an Ayurveda college, as a very young person, you all want is like, oh, I want to treat disease. I am a doctor. So, you know, the whole mindset is different. So when I'm practicing in India, it's like, you know, you have like 15, 20 minutes maximum you give to a client, and we try all our best to treat disease. Though we definitely know the preventive aspect of Ayurveda, but the focus became more on the disease management, or you can say the curative aspect of Ayurveda. So when I came to Sweden, and I started, I just rented a small room in one Ayurveda center in Stockholm. And that's why I started. And we didn't have social media at that time. So it was very difficult. You know, there was no governing body where you can get registered. And also, when you come to Sweden, your Ayurvedic studies, or, you know, the education has no value. And that was another shock. Because even today, many students or Ayurvedic doctors are coming to Sweden. So even 20 years after, still this 5 years of education is equivalent to not even equivalent to high school gymnasi poäng, you say, the points that you get in the Swedish school system. So I'm sure now even Tejal will agree with this. So when you come, you get lost and you want to do something because you are practicing Ayurveda back home and you are so busy, and suddenly you are doing nothing. And if you want to study further, maybe you want to do some post-graduation, maybe in public health, you cannot go into university education because this education of 5 years is not, you know, it's not validated, or whatever you can call it. So anyway, so I just thought that, okay, I have to believe in what I'm doing, and I should start a small place. I just rented a room, and that's how I started. So, you know, the biggest challenge is when you are treating Ayurveda, we all say that we are treating the individual, it's not the disease. So the approach is very holistic. So when you are treating the individual, that means that you have to connect with your client. I'm saying client again, it took me a while from patient to say client, because you are not allowed to say patients, or you cannot say that you are treating any disease. So you have to be really careful when using these words. So the individual approach, you are treating the individual. So what important thing you need is, you need to understand the culture. You need to understand the language. You have to speak the language to connect with the people. And and the stress, the weather, you know, the seasons, it's all important to understand. I remember when I was in Cortical, I met one German lady. She was taking treatment there, and she was just lying on her chair in the balcony of the room in Cortical Ayurveda Shala nursing home, and she was taking sun bath. So I was just saying, why are you sitting in the sun? It's so hot. Because I used to go around with an umbrella. So, and she said that, you know, we have very little sunlight in Germany. So I didn't realize what I was going to face. Coming to Sweden, we always say that Visarga Kala, that is Dakshinayan, that solstice, the sun moving towards the south, you know, the energies also get increased. So in the Hemant Ritu, that is, you know, in the winter time here, the energies are strong. But actually, because of the lack of sunlight, we have so much of santapa, mind. Mind is suffering. So completely, you know, the concept that is there mentioned in Ritucharya, we cannot, you know, apply here in Sweden. We need to understand the local seasonal changes, the weather, lack of sunlight, so cold it is. Dinacharya, you have to adjust accordingly. I remember when I moved to Sweden, I put some coconut oil on my hair, which I do every day. I come from Kerala. We put coconut oil every single day. So I had my coconut oil on the hair. I just went, I thought, okay, it's my daughter's play school is so close by, I'll just drop her. So I went to drop her to the school. On my way back, I just accidentally touched my hair and it was frozen. I was like, oh my God, what happened to my hair? So it became too hard. So, you know, so when we practice Dinacharya also, we need to accordingly understand, you know, the weather and the lifestyle here. And And I completely understand the way Sara is so much focused on the digestion, the digestive health. The stomach is so important. And we all know, coming from Ayurvedic background, that how much important is our Agni. And so initially when I used to practice, I remember the first time I asked my client, how is your, motion? Now you see, motion in Swedish is, the word is for exercise. So the person, and I was meaning is, how is your bowel movement? So the person got really, first thought, what I normally, motion means like exercise. So 2 to 3 days a week, I do motion. So I was like, what? 2 to 3 day week? You go empty your bowel? So that was my reaction. But here came the language. So it's really important, to understand the language. And of course, digestion when it comes. So when I started practicing here, what important thing I noticed is like, I came back to the basics of Ayurveda. So initially, I was a little bit frustrated. I thought, what I'm doing here? I'm telling people to drink hot water. I'm telling them to do these small changes. But then I realized that these simple advices gave such a big difference in the health. And it was amazing every time, simple advices focusing on the preventive aspect of Ayurveda was the best thing that you can do. Not to wait till you become sick. Empower each and every client so that they get the knowledge and become responsible to take care of their own health. I will just share some screen here. So you can see there is, if you live in Sweden and if you know Scandinavians or Swedish people, you know this word lagom. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Sangheeta, we can see your screen. Looks wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Swedish word lagom means it's not too much and not too little, just perfect. And that is the approach of Swedish people, their lifestyle, moderate approach to all aspects of our existence. And that is what Ayurveda talks about, the moderate way of living, not too much and not too little. If you know when it comes to food, mita ahara, food in moderation, sleep in moderation, exercise in moderation. So it actually resonated a lot, and to practice Ayurveda, it became very easy because Swedish people are very health conscious, and they want to know why and how Ayurveda helps them. So I realized that educational approach, just like Eva mentioned, is really important, and that is how you can, translate the knowledge of Ayurveda into their living. And it has to be simple. It has to be not so complicated, and you will get the results. So you can see that why slowly Ayurveda is, people are more inclined to Ayurveda is because of its preventive and promotive and restorative aspect of health. And of course, when clients come to me, I realize that the individual approach of Ayurveda is something they are very attracted to because they feel heard, they feel attended to, and that is what they are missing in the conventional healthcare. So I was practicing in Sweden for really almost 20 years now, and then I realized that to start an education in Ayurveda. And I started with the 300 hours Ayurveda lifestyle consultant course in Sweden. And this is the 10th year now. And also we do 200 hours of advanced Ayurveda practitioners course in India also. So after studying here in Sweden, the students, we go to India and do the practice in the clinical setting, just to understand a little bit in depth how Ayurveda is practiced in India. So it's very important when it comes to Ayurveda. First, when I met one of my students, he studied, he's a doctor in Karolinska, an oncologist. He studied Ayurveda with me, and I will quote him what he said: in Western medicine, it is believed that it is only through medicine or surgery that health can be preserved and restored. In my opinion, one undermines the patient's own belief in their own healing capacity, and thus puts the concept of health externally outside the patient. Someone else is going to fix this for me, not me. I think Ayurveda instead increases the understanding that actions and behaviors have consequences in a non-judgmental way. So this is what the doctor who studied Ayurveda, he thinks about. And it's very interesting now, many doctors are also coming for consultations and also studying Ayurveda. And that's a very good sign. I remember one of the doctor who was having chronic fatigue syndrome. She came to me for a consultation, and the first thing I had to tell her that I have to treat your Agni, and I have to give you advice on food. So her reaction was that, no, I don't have any issue with my stomach, and I don't think I need to think about food. But I was very adamant, and I was strongly, I believed the way I do, and I really told her that, if I want to treat you, I have to first fix your Agni, your digestive fire. So when she went home, she followed all the advices, she got some herbs, and after a couple of weeks, she sent me an email, and then she said to me that I didn't realize that my stomach was not good. Her digestion was not so good. So this is how, how disconnected we are with our digestion and with the food that we eat. Today, of course, awareness has increased. People are very much focused on the food and its effects. And we definitely should promote and encourage the preventive aspect of Ayurveda. And when any Indian doctors, like if they come to practice, move to Sweden or in any Western country for that matter, we really need to understand the culture, and we need to suit or practice Ayurveda with respect to the Western lifestyle and food habits and culture, and then only you will get success. So we need to make some changes, and instead of curative aspect, what is our goal as Ayurveda practitioner is not to wait for the imbalances to manifest as a disease. So to correct the imbalance already in the Sthana Sanshreya stage and reverse the illness. So that is how I try to practice Ayurveda here in Sweden. And I'll just try to go to the next. So this is already, Stina has already spoken about the vision and mission, integrating Ayurveda into the Swedish healthcare system. And most important thing is accessibility to Ayurvedic herbs. So I'm sure there are potential in Ayurvedic local herbs also, but as we have practiced in Ayurveda herbs for so long, and we have seen the efficacy for thousands of years, and it's established. So the Ayurvedic products, if we get into Europe, it would be the best for the practitioners. So, and the most important thing is the status of Ayurvedic products are still, we are using it as a health supplement and not as a medicine. And there are many restrictions when it comes to herbs, just like Sara said. Sometimes suddenly you cannot use kapikachu, for example, and or bala, for example. Bala we can use in Sweden, but you can't use in US. So there are so many restrictions, and we don't know there is no herbal regulation. So for the practitioners, it's become tough to understand which herb is okay and it's legal to use it in Europe. And there is, of course, a lack of a single governing body to support Ayurveda practitioners and educational institutes. So this is something that we look forward to, and I really hope that we'll get it. So that was all about me and how I practice here in Sweden. So thank you so much for listening.
Sangheeta, thank you so much. You have brought so many amazing details into the things that people in India think about, how to connect with and come and work in other parts of the world. And the point you have touched on, how you have to go to the depth of Ayurveda, to the depth of the principles. We have senior people here, Agnihotriji, who was professor of Swasthavrit in Uttarakhand. And they're all people who are thinking about this. But I think to hear it from you and to hear it from Stina and Eva and Sara gives them a little more, I think, now to think about. So I know we are a little, I don't know, Stina, how are you for time? Because I know you have classes going on.
Yeah, my class is going on here, and I will miss the Sanskrit class.
Sanskrit
it's so
classes,
horrible.
Okay.
But it's so, I feel it's so nice being here as well, and it feels very important. So I know if we can go for, I would love to hear Tejal's
Tejal, thank you for being with us today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. I'm sorry I have joined a little late, 1.5 hour late, but I think we can start. And I missed Stina's and Eva's point of view and views about the scope of Ayurveda in Sweden, but I think I can catch up on that on YouTube sometime. So thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. So I have done my Bachelor of Ayurveda Medicine and Surgery from Bombay University, from Arepudar, Bombay. And then I have done my post-graduation in Panchakarma from Pune University. So it has been 20 years for me. I have completed Ayurvedic education in India. I've been studying Ayurveda with my guru, Dr. Narendra Pendse from Pune. So I've been studying with him for, when I was in I was doing Bachelor of Ayurveda Medicine and Surgery. I was going to his clinic and practicing Ayurveda and learning about Ayurveda from him for more than 6 or 7 years. So after that, I started my practice in Bombay. I was practicing Ayurveda and Panchakarma treatments in my clinic. Then I moved to USA, Ohio. That was sudden change for me after my marriage. And then I was not sure where to start with Ayurveda in USA. So it was something different and to start with, but then I understand that I have to take it slowly and understand the culture and everything in USA. And then I started practicing with my family and friends there. Then we moved to India again, and then for last 12 years, I'm here in Stockholm. So when I moved to Stockholm, I met Sangheeta because I wasn't sure where to start with Ayurvedic practice, because as Sangheeta mentioned, it is something which you are not thinking about, that your Ayurvedic degree, what you have learned for more than 6 years, it's not valid, and you are just gymnasium or high school graduate or not even graduate. So that is something different and new for me and something challenging. But I think the Ayurveda has that power that to go ahead and practice. And then I started practicing at a small place. I rented a place and started practicing Ayurveda. It is very, very different than what I used to practice in India, because as Sangheeta mentioned, that it is not something that we are treating the disease, but we are treating, or we are practicing more on the preventive dinacharya and ritucharya, and also suggesting about the diet and lifestyle more than what we are going to treating the disease. So in my consultation, what I try to suggest and implement is to empower and educate about Ayurveda, at least the basic principles of Ayurveda. So my 90 minutes consultation, which is the first consultation, is always about explaining about Vata, Pitta, Kapha and why it is important for us to follow the Dinacharya and Ritucharya, and why it is important for that specific individual as a client, we refer here, not a patient, but client. Why is it important to change your diet according to the imbalances? Because I personally believe that if you understand about your imbalances, and if you explain why it is important for you to change few things in your diet and lifestyle, when you understand that, you can follow it for longer period rather than just following for few days because someone is saying you to follow that. But rather than when you understand why it is important for you to change and change your diet and lifestyle, then you will follow for a longer period. And that is important, I think, for everyone to understand the basic principles of Ayurveda, and that we don't usually do it in our consultations in India, but that is something different. We try to do it here in Sweden. And then I realized that when I'm suggesting some diet, it is not easy for everyone to follow that or to understand specific spices or specific type of diet, because we have to start with ghee, or what is ghee. And so that is how I started thinking about, okay, if I'm suggesting something, I should also provide that cooking course or something that where they can come and learn about that. So that is why I started practicing or giving more Ayurvedic cooking courses. I just completed one today. So this is where I teach about the spices and how you can combine to balance your doshas and according to your changes in the seasons. So in Sweden, we can totally understand the importance of diet. And if you change that diet, you will see the great results to balance your doshas. So we don't realize that a lot in India, but it is very visible and important in Sweden. At least I can talk about Sweden here. Then that when you change few things in the diet, for example, even drinking warm water or changing or adding moong dal soup or khichdi, that small change will make a great difference even with the ama and releasing that sama dosha. So that we have noticed a lot, that changing a diet and adding breathing exercises, pranayama, and also few things in the lifestyle. One important aspect about the digestion that we have to emphasize more here, that it is important to go to toilet every day. That is something very, very unique for them, that it is not something that we have to do it every day. But this is very simple in India, that we feel that, okay, it's very simple. We don't have to tell everyone that you have to go to toilet every day. But this is something which I have noticed here in Sweden, that you have to tell them that, okay, if you are eating every day, you have to go to toilet every day. And if you're not going, then we have to help you in some ways with the diet or herbs, that you will start going to toilet every day. So there are some limitations because I practice Panchakarma also in Sweden. So there are some limitations when I'm practicing Panchakarma, but some treatments which are easily manageable, like Virechana, and I can see the change in people, that they are more open to even Basti. They know the word Basti, enema, And so we don't have to start, okay, this is Basti and this is very helpful for you, but they already know about this. They are reading on the internet and they are actually coming to me that I want to try and with Basti, oil Basti or decoction Basti. So that is the new change, what we see in Sweden now. So I try to use Panchakarma treatments also in my treatments, because I see the great results with Panchakarma. So I have not prepared any slides because I think Sangheeta and Sara has covered everything. So I think I will just pause and stop here. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
You have enlightened us. You know, for me, the wonderful thing is that you studied in Mumbai, in Podar, and you have lived in America, and then you became sensitive to this idea of how to adapt that knowledge to the local culture. I think Sangheeta gave us a very, very important example, which is how light the day length varies, and the cold is different, you know, extreme cold, and how you can still use the principles of Ayurveda and help people. I think this is the biggest message. I want to thank you for this. Please stay with us. No, I'm saying this because I know Stina has her Sanskrit classes going on. As she's in college in Milton Keynes today. And if Stina, I just want to take a few words from Stina. I don't know if she wants to leave us. If Stina is leaving us, then Stina, the floor is yours. You have to continue with your classes, but if I can keep our colleagues from Sweden here for a few more minutes and take questions and open it up for discussion. So Stina, a few words from you. And if you're leaving now, then thank you again from my side and from everybody here. A few words from you before you leave, if you want to, a message for everybody gathered here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm just so happy to meet here with everyone and to be in a samband. So I really appreciate your effort to do these wonderful webinars, and we learn a lot from each other. I really think so, and I think it's so important that we connect in these ways, and it's fantastic for us in Sweden to have the opportunity to share how it is to be practitioner in Sweden, and how Ayurveda can be described from different cultures. I really feel that Ayurveda can be the language that we can use to connect us to nature again, and that is really necessary these days. This is the way to our hearts as well. And I think, Eva, I will just pass it to you, and you you can just take some questions and answers, and I really need to go to my Sanskrit class.
Thank you,
again,
Stina. Don't worry, our event will be recorded and archived, so the bits that you're missing, you will see in the recordings. Thank you. Give my regards to Dr. Atik, Stina. Yes. I hope I can keep Eva, Sara, and Sangheeta, and I don't know, Tejal, also you have to leave. Tejal, you are leaving?
I have a few more minutes.
Okay.
So thank you so much. I need to leave.
Thank you, Stina.
Thank you,
lovely to be here. Thank you so much.
The floor is to you, Tejal. You can share a few words about what you feel we can do as India-Sweden engagement at one or two levels. One is at the level where you're handling people, you're interacting with people. It's what else can we do from a country to country level? Number two, I think Eva's comment is that we should have some kind of a course. Number two, when we come to the education, formal education level, you have studied in Mumbai, you have studied with a very good, your practical skills was with a very, very renowned Vaidya. Now, how do we find this? How do we make this bridge? You see the difficulty? How do we make this bridge? The same with Sara. Sara has studied, same with Eva. They have studied in India, but not everybody can come to India. Not everybody can find a good teacher. You are with Penseji, who was a very, very senior Vaidya. You are lucky. how to do this, how to make this difficulty. I asked this question because we have senior teachers and Vaidyas here with us. Vishnu Prasad ji is here, Agnihotri ji is here, so they can also think about how to solve this difficult problem. But I'd like to hear from you, please, Tejal.
Thank you, sir. I really feel fortunate that I learned this practical knowledge of Ayurveda and Panchakarma from my sir, because I think that is important. That is the most important thing that we learn, because more than what we study in the university, the practical knowledge and how we can apply this Ayurvedic knowledge or even Panchakarma knowledge to our clients. So I think if we can combine our because I think Sangheeta has started the lifestyle course where she is combining and taking clients to India. Also, if we can in India, some of the society or institutes can maybe connect with us so that we can start some course. I'm also planning to start a Panchakarma course here in Sweden, which will be at least the knowledge of Panchakarma and the few treatments that we can offer here. I'm going to teach the authentic way, the Shastrokta way. So that is my idea. But if we can combine or we can educate people here, that will be a great opportunity for them to learn more from different Vaidyas, different teachers, because when we learn from different teachers from their experiences, we learn a lot from that rather than just learning from Sanhitas and textbooks.
Tejal, thank you for pointing this very important thing that from different teachers, you can learn so many new dimensions, and so you can become a richer and a fuller practitioner. Thank you so much. Now, I know you need to go back to your classes, so you can leave us at any time you want, but I know there is a Mumbaikar here with us, Patankarji. I just want to see if Patankarji would like to just have the floor for a minute. Patankarji, Rajanji, namaskar.
Namaskar.
You have spoken to Tejal before.
Yes. As she has mentioned about the Panchakarma courses, I will be there to help her, because yes, I had taken courses, eight courses per year, and only for practitioners in our institute, that is Sain Ayurveda College. And so many teachers from all over India are definitely connected with me, and they will be definitely help to promote authentic Panchakarma courses all over the world. So definitely I will be there with you. If you need any help, I will share my contact number and email address also. So thanks a lot, Tejal.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tejal. So if you are rushing off, then we want to thank you for being with us today. And thank you for taking us to those deep points. You have touched some very, very important points. And the last two, I asked the question just to extract suggestions from you, and you have given us wonderful suggestions. And I think with this internet facility now happening so easily, maybe we can do a hybrid kind of course where a lot of the early teaching is done online. And then when the senior Vaidya comes, they can really go straight into the practical side of whatever you have in mind. And that is I think Sarah is agreeing with that. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
So, Tejal, namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much
we will keep this
platform
alive. You will come back and meet all of us again. So once again, namaskar. Thank you.
Namaste, sir.
Thank you. So you have heard now from as they say, the horse's mouth. We have seen people who are in Sweden, who are connecting from Sweden today, who are either from India practicing in Sweden or people of Swedish origin. So once again, I repeat, thanks everybody. I want to open the floor for questions and discussions. And I want to take initially Professor Agnihotri, because he was head of department of Swasthvrit in Uttarakhand, and I'm sure he will have some comments here. And our protocol here in our platform is Agnihotriji concludes at the end, drawing in all the thoughts. But I quickly want to get a few first impressions from Agnihotriji. And then Vishnu Prasad ji, who's also here with us, he was the principal of the Guwahati Ayurveda College. So very senior people who have decades of education experience, practical experience, and we will just hear a few quick words from them. Agnihotriji, namaskar ji.
Namaskar, thank you, Madan sir. It is a great day that we are having a lot of information from the Sweden. Of course, before listening from these guests, we were having a number of questions. And after listening them, the questions multiplied in abundance. This is the fact. Because they all opened so many possibilities and avenues that we must share, we must interact. Three were from Sweden itself and two were from India origin. And the Indian persons, they were having enjoying their graduation, post-graduation degree from India, from the very reputed colleges like Kodda College, Mumbai, and then Nagpur College, as far as the Tejal is concerned, Dr. Tejal is concerned. But as Stina has left the floor, but still she very well started the inclination towards Ayurveda. She peeped back regarding the knowing about Ayurveda, how the quest developed in her mind. So our point is that there are two, three things. All these Sweden speakers, our guests, they may enlighten us that which of the part of Ayurveda they are appreciating much more, like the philosophical part, the preventive parts, along with the immunization concept of Ayurveda, or the treatment part, because things are different. Moreover, how much extent is given free from the government side to practice there. Third one, what is available there, because if any herb is available there, if it is parallel or at par with the name of Ayurvedic flora and fauna, then it can be said as Ayurvedic, because that medicine, that herb must be there in any of the Nigantu available in India. Otherwise, you can say that this is the herb available in Sweden or in UK or in US, but how can we accept it that it is of Ayurveda? This is one question is going in my mind. So you can use, it may be useful. It has got a so many medicinal value. I'm especially talking with Sara, that how you can put in the mouth of Ayurveda if it is not coming from any of the Nigantu. So this is a question from me. You completed your graduation from Hassan College.
No. I got my, actually in the UK, it was a collaboration with Manipal University.
Manipal.
Manipal. So my school.
You were talking about something that you were there in Karnataka.
Yeah, in Mudbidri, Alva's Medical College. That was my internship only. Internship. Yeah. Close to Hassan. Yeah.
Pardon. So during your regime, where that in Udupi College, Dr. Muralidhar Sharma was there?
Dr. Murli, yes, yes.
Surgeon. He is surgeon and principal. You know?
No, I know another Dr. Murli. It's not the same. Yeah, I don't remember really if I
anyway,
visited only
20 years back. So our question and suggestion and our query to you itself, that to which thing you will say Ayurveda, if it is available in Sweden, but at the same time, how much you are released or you are not restricted to use it. So goes the case with the Dr. Tejal. She very well presented things regarding the Panchakarma. She told that persons are here who are knowing about Basti and Anima, but at the same time, the medicines or the items used for different say actions of Panchakarma are available there, or the Panchakarma practice is allowed by the government, permitted by the government in say Sweden, because for Sangheeta's her own experience, it is so cold that her hair got hard with the freezing of the coconut oil put on her hair. So this is the thing, that any damn thing which can be for first information towards wrong side may put a question for Indians or for any practitioner that it went wrong. So we have to save our skin. We have to save our skin also. So our first say comment on your all this thing, your great contribution towards Ayurveda, and your it was my query that how you got an inclination towards Ayurveda. Madam Eva had been here in Rishikesh, so naturally Rishikesh has got an atmosphere to talk about yoga, Ayurveda, Panchakarma, everything. In India itself, it's a great fortune for us that our Ayurveda is not crossing the limitations or the boundaries of India, and not on today, way back in 50 years or rather more. So you are practicing very good. You are taking use of Ayurveda. You are taking knowledge from Indians or Indians concept, but be careful that what are our limitations and to which extent we can go. So the starting comments, query, support is this, and as far as the increasement of knowledge is concerned, India has got total open doors for you all to come please or to communicate in any way. Now the net is very thing, and we will be always in your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. I think you have raised 3 important questions, and I want to just see if we can get some feedback from Eva and Sara, and also Sangheeta, who's here with us. Sangheeta,
I can answer one of the question that he asked is which aspect of Ayurveda is more popular or people are seeking to. And I will also add, just like Eva mentioned in the beginning, that we need to practice Ayurveda in a different way, which is suitable to the Western audience and the Western way of living and thinking also. So when it comes to which aspect of Ayurveda is more popular, is just like when you remember the first shloka in Ashtanga Hridaya, it starts with Ragadi Rogana Satatanu Shaktana Sheshakaya Prasritana Sheshan Autsukhya Moha Aratitan Jagana Yo Apurva Vaidyaya Namo Astu Tasmai. It starts with Raga. So you see, Autsukhya, Moha, these are the right now, it's every person is suffering from anxiety, and anxiety syndrome is there, confusion, restlessness. So the psychological aspect of Ayurveda, the philosophical aspect of Ayurveda is really important, and that is what people are attracted to. All the disease are rooted in the mind. So that is the goal, is to trace back to the most subtler cause and not just focused on the gross manifestation of the disease. So that is what I feel is where Ayurveda can make a difference. And it's not about what is important is we are practicing the knowledge of Ayurveda, but keeping the authenticity in mind. And that is the mind, body, soul, unit. And so practicing in a holistic way, and then making it suited to the Western audience. So this is I'm going to take
that same question. I'll rush through because India is getting a little late there already, but it is still early for us.
Madan sir, actually, I was expecting that the Dr. Sangheeta will answer in the same way, because not only she is coming from India, but she got all the knowledge of Ayurveda. Graduation to post graduation is very clear. So this is the philosophical aspect, which is first. It starts with this. A person who is Jivit, and we go for the longevity of it with the pleasure of the good health. So she touched that sector very correctly. I was more interested for the Sweden fellow of how they were inclined and how they are making suitable to the Sweden persons with their Ayurvedic approach.
Maybe we take Agnayaji, maybe we will listen to that same thing from Eva, because Eva has taken us deep into the many aspects, including the death cafe and all those deep principles. So we will hear a little bit from Eva.
Sure.
Perhaps also from Sara, because she has also experienced India. I feel blessed. Eva, I feel so blessed today to have this open discussion, you know. It is so amazing. I think so many things are coming out that are unexpected, you know. And I think Sweden, in this event, Sweden is providing us a model to look at.
Wow.
How?
Okay. Well, it was an important what you mentioned, Sangheeta, because when I came first with my groups to Ayurveda centers in Kerala many years ago, I found it was so different because my participants, they wanted to learn sort to say psychological part of Ayurveda, or even more spiritual way of Ayurveda, and I was seeing that the doctors were giving, you know, papers with lots of do's and don'ts, and it wasn't appealing to the Swedish people. So I can really agree. So when I work with patients, it's really about to give them a door to open into a growth of themselves in a more spiritual way. And actually that's what I found, that we can get into these people. And then the lifestyles measurements that we recommend, like Tejal and all we are talking about, is quite easy when they have opened to this longing for a more spiritual part. And yeah, that's how I see how we are a little bit moving this way of Ayurveda. Yeah.
Thank you, Eva. You have given us, again, you're confirming that the understanding of the mind-body soul connection is a very important thing, and it takes. We will come back to this point, but I want to quickly hear from Sara, how, because she has also seen this.
Yeah, I've been many, as we love India, we've been there many times, as much as we can. So, of course.
And I'm hoping you will come back again even more.
Oh yes, of course. And my children, they are just longing for it. So they would love to come tomorrow, and me too. Yeah. I would say, yes. I just reflected on my own journey also, that I have, like, my mission is to not take the spiritual way of digestion, but actually it's interesting. People are more into that. They want the spiritual way of Ayurveda, but actually I think that the digestion and the herbs are two ways which are, the digestion is ready. I mean, it's already there in Sweden. People understand about it. And the herbs, we could even bring back the spiritual herbs we have in Sweden to Sweden, but through Ayurveda. It might sound strange for maybe Swedish people, but it doesn't, because if you translate Ayurveda in the terms of just as it is, I mean, Ayurveda has kept the way it has an explanation on how to live life, and we have lived the life in similar ways in Sweden before also. So it is not a strange Indian philosophy. It's actually a way of living, as you know. And if you explain it in that way, I never find any people who say something else. That simple way of living. We get the help of
This is why it is so exciting to connect with the local people, you know. And look at this, how easily we are connecting with the local people. And you are saying that we have a culture. Stina is now connecting with one of the professors near where she lives. And he has been looking at the parallels between Rig Veda and some of the Indian, some of the Swedish texts, and comparison between the Indian mythology and the Swedish mythology, and some very interesting connections. Sorry that Stina is not here. We have here with us, I think, Professor Shantala Priyadarshini, and I can see Shantala is here. There is a name here with saying Shantala, and I think it might be Professor Shantala Priyadarshini, who's our professor, the new Ayush professor at the University of Latvia in Riga. And she has been putting some things in the chat box. I invite Shantalaji to join us for our for a few words. Shantalaji, namaskar. Shantalaji. If Shantalaji is, if she's connecting on a mobile device, she might be having some difficulty to put her microphone on. But while we wait for Shantalaji, I can see some chats going on between Sarah and Rajanji about understanding Virya Vipak, and you are agreeing that there is something there.
Yeah. May I say something? Yeah.
Please,
yes.
please.
Yes. It would be wonderful if we could start. We talked about education, and then I would need we would need so much help if someone would like to help us, both in two things. Then just to get you an idea where we are, to help to translate where shall we start with Rasa Virya Vipaka, or how shall we approach this thing? I mean, we have to do it small but wise. And that's one thing, how to translate the Ayurvedic Dravya Guna into the Swedish herbs in the best way, and which can then, And the second thing would, to start, we have very little of herbal knowledge in the Ayurvedic lifestyle consultancy training, very, very little, because they don't have time for everything and we don't have the knowledge. And we could get more of the herbs into Sangheeta school or Eva school, or I mean all the schools we have today. Sangheeta, I know you can present it, but if we could get it as a normal thing for Ayurvedic practitioners in Sweden, you have to learn about the herbs even more in order to practice. That would be lovely. And in that
Sarah,
way we would need to.
This is an important point. While I can see Shantalaji has turned as a system on, she's ready to talk.
Please. You can leave it.
But we want to come back.
Congratulations to all the participants. I find two different schools, like someone who is passionately involving themselves into Ayurveda, and those who are educated the Indian way of Ayurveda. So two different schools I can see, and they are trying to do it for Ayurveda. It's so good, and I really congratulate both the Ayurveda doctors, Sangheeta and Tejal. So I remember the days that I faced all these problems when in Netherlands, but I was having a different concept. I didn't have this type of problems because I didn't practice on my own. I was with Maharshi Ayurveda, so it was different. And I was fortunate to get a lot of inputs from a lot of seniors there, so it was very good. But when I went away to Australia, when I went to different parts of the world to do things on my own, do research on my own, I faced all these problems. And now in Latvia, I have started again seeing that our education needs to be legalized, it needs to be appreciated, it needs to be accepted. So here I thought it is some things that we should come together and we would be able to achieve a lot. Eva, Stina,
Sarah and
Sangheeta,
so very passionately involving themselves into Ayurveda. So that's very good. And I see that these two young girls, Sangheeta and
Tejal.
Sangheeta and Tejal, they are doing their best to bring Ayurveda into the global picture. And I wish all the best to all the participants. And of course to Sharma ji for bringing everybody together. And always Madan ji is there to inspire everybody and to bring people together. So it is very good. I was very happy to see this discussion happening. Thank you.
Yesterday we had a Shantalaji, thank you so much. Yesterday Shantalaji, being the professor, Ayush professor now in Riga, we connected with our Ayush. There are two Ayush professors now. We had many more chairs. Ayush professor in Mauritius, Professor Ish Sharma. We connected yesterday and we were chatting, just a non-meeting. And one very important point, Eva and Sarah and Sangheeta, that came through was how in Mauritius, they're developing a 50-bed hospital, which will open soon. So that is one very important point, the Ayurveda Ayush Hospital, and is one thing. Number two is that health promotion, the message of Ayurveda is going to get integrated into school education. Now, it is much easier in Mauritius because there is a lot of people of Indian heritage there. So it's very easy. And it's a very important part of the world geography for all of what we are talking, because Mauritius will be the base for connecting to Africa also. So that is the long-term thinking, that they will develop a hospital and then a college and a university there, a Ayush University, which will service the needs of Africa. So this is a big project that's going on. And I think there are lessons from today's discussion about something similar that could happen for the Baltic and the Nordic area. Santalaji is already there and in Riga, and we hope, and there is an Indic center already in Riga. And I think it will be much easier to have a closer, that as the base, and the embassy in Stockholm is servicing two countries, both Sweden and Latvia. So there are many things. And Shantalaji, I'm so grateful you joined us today because you could meet with these people. We will share details so that you have a little more connection with these people. Now, we are almost approaching 10 o'clock, so 9:30 in India, 9:30. We have about 14 minutes here before we draw our event to a close. And I want to just go across into Canada, to the continent, to Harish Verma-ji. Harish-ji, namaskar. If Harish-ji is here with us, just to get an idea of how these things are developing in Canada. Harish-ji is studied Ayurveda in Punjab, and he has a practice. He has a lot of experience with ulcerative colitis, and he's handling a lot of patients. I don't know, he's got a case series of 20, 25, 30,000 patients of ulcerative colitis. Effective management through the gut managing aspect. So Harish-ji, namaskar. Thank you for joining us today from Toronto. Please, we would love your feedback on today's deliberations.
Yes, so first of all, namaskar to everyone. I listened very carefully. There were 2 points. Two speakers mentioned they are scared about the regulations. They don't want to mention that they are treating diseases. Though they are practitioners of Ayurveda, but they are scared that they can't tell, and there are restrictions. And the point is, who have restricted? Where are the restrictions written? This is the point. And can't we apply to the regulatory authorities in Sweden that they can regulate Ayurveda practice in Sweden? So I will request to all the practitioners of Ayurveda in Sweden, they should apply to the health department for regulating Ayurveda practice in Sweden. Till then, if there will be no decision, till then, they are allowed to practice Ayurveda.
Harish-ji, please tell us a little bit, because if you give that example of Canada and how it is, the challenges you have faced in Canada.
We will share one document with all the with the practitioners of Ayurveda in Sweden.
Because there are some lessons from Canada.
In Canada, we are trying, and here we have a document regarding how to apply for regulation of profession or any health profession, the government. And there is criteria, and if you look at this criteria, you can see we have to tell the government about the duties involved, procedures, intervention, and I will share this document. On the same pattern, the Sweden people, the Sweden practitioners, of Ayurveda, they can also apply the government. That and moreover, there are now a lot of changes are coming. WHO has brought a new document regarding education, regarding what is the criteria to become a Ayurveda practitioner in West, and what are the educational requirements, what is the prerequisite, and what is the curriculum. So new documents are coming. Now the time has come. I will suggest now the time has come. Practitioners of Ayurveda should apply to the health authorities for regulating Ayurveda practice in their respective countries. And we can start from Europe.
Harishi, if you stop, Harishi, sorry to interrupt. If you stop sharing your screen, I think there is a bandwidth problem, but please share us the link to this document also so that everybody can have this document.
Actually, I have in a computer. I've downloaded on the net right now. I download the link. Madhura, I'll share with you. And you can share with the, because there is a criteria and in Canada, how the health professions can be regulated. And this criteria will be followed everywhere in the world. And we are trying. And there is, I think because Ayurveda is very wide, in few days, I was thinking today while listening and going through this seminar, I was also preparing one presentation. In few days, I have to make a presentation how to propagate Ayurveda in West. So I have found 5 sectors where we can propagate Ayurveda in West. I'll just share one slide. You can have an idea. These are 5 sectors. Ayurveda education is one. Ayurveda clinic or the hospitals is second. Ayurveda therapy center, Panchakarma, the spa industry is the third. Then Ayurveda supplement of the herbs is the fourth. And then Ayurveda herbal lifestyle is the fifth. These are 5 sectors which we can bring Ayurveda in West. So I'm preparing a presentation and I'll share in next meeting with the students.
Thank you, Harishji. We have a little bit of background noise. Parshuramji, if you unmute, if you mute yourself, then we can continue. Surya Kiranji, sorry, we will continue on.
Final message is, Madan sir, that now the time has come. We all practitioners of Ayurveda all over the world should think of applying to the health authorities for regulating Ayurveda practice in their respective countries. This is the message.
Thank you, Harishji. What we will do, we will come back again because these are very, very important pointers that you are giving, and you have a lot of experience now in Canada. You interact with the members of the Canadian Parliament. You're discussing all this in the Parliament. So I think there are many lessons here we can learn from you. I wanted, I don't know if there are some comments from Eva or from Sara or from Sangheeta, if you are still here, on Harishji's comments about the issue of regulating and regulations. If there isn't, then Pawanji, how are we for time? Do we have another 5-10 minutes? Pawanji, thank you. And if the question of regulation is a very important one, and Harishji is doing a lot of work and using the Canada example to show where are the challenges to regulation. And you have thought a lot about this. You will know how governments work and the challenges there. And maybe this can be a separate event where we come together to discuss. Yeah. Thanks, Harishji. Thank you. I think Sara is recognizing that we need to come together on a separate event. We will come back. And I think it's Pawanji has noted this, that this whole area of regulation. We have a lot of people in discussion from the Quality Council of India, and there are many things there. So Sarah, Eva, Sangheeta, all of you should join us because it's a very critical and a very important area where there are perspectives from different countries and different cultures that we need to bring into the story. So Harishji, thank you so much for taking this, quickly joining in and sharing your, but please do share that the link to the document or the document that one, if you have, then we can share it and everybody can discuss and prepare for a longer discussion. I want Vishnu Prasad ji, who is here. Vishnu ji, namaskar. Vishnu Prasad ji.
Oh, namaskar.
Namaskar. Just to say whether we have reached your expectation today. Was it a discussion that is showing a new direction for Ayurveda? And where can we do better from today's discussion?
Okay. Thank you, respected Professor Madan Thangavelu, Professor V.K. Agnihotri, respected Pawan Kumar Sharma ji, dear distinguished speaker and learned audience. It was a pleasure listening to such an insightful talk on scope and practice of Ayurveda in Sweden from eminent speaker. So all the speaker delivered their lecture very nicely, and I am happy that they are educated from the India. They educated from the India and spread Ayurveda at Sweden in scientific way. Regarding this regulation, I don't know how they practice. They allowed from the government, they have allowed to do, but now it is our duty. We have to make regulation that all Ayurvedic doctors can practice any part of the world. That regulation should be established because nowadays Ayurveda is required. Ayurveda is required to maintain our health because in Ayurveda we have two aspects, preventive aspect and curative aspect. Ayurveda has given more stress on the preventive aspect. Yes, with that preventive aspect, we follow the rules regulation of Ayurveda and we have to consume the Rasayana drugs. Yes, we can maintain our health. This Sweden doctor, they have mentioned that they prepare some herbs. They use to Sweden people. But I want to ask, is the Sweden people, they like Ayurveda or they want to establish Ayurveda there or to popular Ayurveda there. So anyhow, but nowadays all over the world, people want Ayurveda medicine only or Ayurvedic lifestyle management or Ayurvedic advice. How we can keep our body healthy and we can increase our lifespan also. So thank you, Madan Thangavelu. Thank you. Namaskar to all.
Namaskar ji. Thank you. Before I hand the floor back to Pawan ji, I can see some new people. Every time we have events, some new people join us. And I can see Momita Sharma. Momita ji, namaskar. And I can see the other people who are here. There were one or two other new people in our group. Momita ji, if you would like to say a few words, thank you for joining us today from wherever you are joining. If Momita ji does not want to join us, then the floor is back to Pawan ji. And I think if Pawan ji might hand the floor back to Pawan ji, namaskar. Thank you.
Excellent session, sir. Excellent session. Eye-opening session. This is eye-opener. And I would like to communicate to all speakers that now courses have been started to recognize by Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapith. So they are really interested and have the registration or accreditation by that Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapith for courses, number one. Number second, if they can communicate any Swedish therapy. What was the Swedish therapy maybe traditional, maybe herbal, maybe anything, but not related to any Ayurvedic therapy, herbal therapy, or any other therapy like Reiki, like pranic healing. So that was definitely we will be eager to listen. And tomorrow we will have a unique webinar for development of Ayush Samriddhi. Development of Ayush Samriddhi is definitely based on its pillars, and pillars are, all pillars have been included there. I would like to request you all to make a suggestion that how can we make our reach or enhance our reach to young generation and make them attracted to, interested to learn Ayurveda. This is my humble request. And I would like to request Professor V.K. Agnihotri ji for his concluding remarks. Thanks to Dr. Shantala ji also. Thanks to all speakers, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Pawan Sharma sir. It is a great webinar today. You touched the 325th webinar in the same connection and continuation. We have our guest speakers from Sweden, along with our respected guests of our family and our floor. Professor Madan sir, Professor B.P. Sharma sir from Guwahati, Professor Dr. Domaji, Professor our Rajan Patankar ji, Dr. Harish Roma ji, our Mohita Sharma ji, who could not join, and our Dr. Alok Sharma ji and Nilakshi Dev Chaudhary. So all the our guest speakers put a great light over the concept, understanding, and need of Ayurveda, that too in their countries with the help of their knowledge and their skill and exploitation. It is a great satisfaction to listen that 300 centers are now there, as Stina ji told, there in Sweden for performing such type of activities. It's wonderful. Not only this, moreover, now public and people have started thinking and talking about the mind, body, and soul. This is beyond the our Indian country's boundaries. Though it was a way back. Swami Vivekanandi concept, or Swami Aurobindo's and our C.V. Raman sir concept was there. Now they have reached to the other countries with the realization. In the same manner, she talked about her inclination. She was interested to study about the types of personality of persons. And for that, she found something good in Ayurveda. She studied Ayurveda. So the funny thing is this, that how which part she is not there, but which part of the Ayurvedic text impressed her much more regarding the description of personality of Ayurveda, because either the personality based on the Sadvrit, the personality attained by the observance of Dincharya, Ritcharya, Sandhyacharya, the Upastambha, Aharvid Visheshayatan, Veg Vidharan, and Sadvrit. So this is an entirely different and deep question. Since she started doing so, she will attain and get this thing afterwards. Now our second speaker were our Inaji, and Ivaji told so many things, but especially when she talked about the say herbal part of medicine, as she got it interest, and she started showing that blend. She is interested to develop her own blend. She also gave us chance to show her residence, which recalled so many memories of our Uttarakhand and Northeastern Himachal and J&K. So this is really good. This is what the technology is. We are sitting here and we are doing all these things, which we have to pay a lot of penny to see at their site. Third one, our Saraji, especially twice, thrice, and 4 times underlined the concept of Agni. If at all, the digestion will be improved. though the Sweden persons are not aware of that fact that how the digestion is, but on her repeated insist and consultation that you get your digestion and digestive capacity, digestive fire first checked, then only you will get the real essence and elixir of Ayurveda, in what way you are going to use it. So that is a good thing, and we appreciate this thing, that this is our Kaya Chikitsa. Kaya means Sharir and Kaya means Agni also. So Kaya Chikitsa itself, the Chikitsa for the fire, just to make a proper intensity and have a good equilibrium in between the Dhattvagni and all that. So your approach is good. We professors of Ayurveda really appreciate your this type of approach to your student persons. Very good, very good. And our Sangheeta Balapraksh ji, being Indian, studied in a good centers. She really put forward, and she narrated her hard time, how she managed the things from US to Sweden, and the language problem, the understanding problem, the word terminology. She was talking about motion, and they were thinking about something kinetism, pertaining to kinetism. So I was studying all these things. So kinetic, that's why we can talk how your bowel habit is there. Number of things are, but what my submission is that you people are knowing almost Sanskrit. You are learning. You are knowing Sanskrit. You are knowing your Swedish language along with your English. Then only you are able to communicate not only your patients, to communicate us your standing about the Ayurveda. So in this way, and afterwards our Harish ji made very clear that if the regulations are not there, nobody is restricting you to practice the way you are interested to do, whether it is Panchakarma or herbal therapy or bands or kitchen garden or the preparation of cooking, as you were all talking about, that is okay. But when you are charging from your patients, and it's a sort of commerce, it's a sort of professionalism, so it should be taken precaution for that. If it is so, then it's okay, and we will always be pleased to see that our Ayurveda is having its branches and sub branches apart from and away from India. So with the all contribution of our Madan sir, this could be possible, along with the his great support. Because we just heard a few words from Stina ji during our previous webinars. So today is the great occasion when you all came to our webinar. We are really thankful, and we are fortunate enough. And you please keep the flag of Ayurveda in your country as high as possible. Thank you so much. These are my words. Over to Madan sir and Pawan sir.
Thank you. This has been Agnihotriji, Vishnuji, Domaji. This has been like a big party, you know. I feel like we have just attended a wonderful party, and we have had guests from Sweden to come to our
dry party, Sukhi party.
Sukhi party.
Sukhi party.
No, I have communicated tea and biscuit in the beginning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We got it. Thank you for that.
So, my thanks to all our guests from Sweden. This is only the beginning of a conversation, I feel. And I hope our conversations about, especially Saraji's comment about the herbs and supply chain and good quality herbs, we will take that up, and the mini herbal centers that we are talking. Haryana, Agnihotriji, Haryana is already thinking about wellness centers. One wellness center for every 5,000 people. And
the concept of mini pharmacy is really wonderful. In this way, the herbs will be protected, preserved, and be utilized. May it be started in a small scale, but really a wonderful concept. It's eye-opening, and my all good wishes, my all say greetings and pleasure that you please go ahead, please.
So Sarah, this is you heard straight from Agnihotriji that we are all in love with your idea of a mini. So we will be with you on this initiative. Yesterday, as I said, I chatted with Harish ji. He has the same concept in his mind about the mini herbal clinics. And Eva's comment about the death and aspects. I think Pawanji was deeply touched by that, the mention about that death clubs. And I have put the Mrityunjaya mantra from Rig Veda as an example of how we see this that area is so precious and we understand it so beautifully. I think Rajanji has raised his hand. Rajanji, namaskar.
Only for 1 minute, because
Please.
in Maharashtra, so many traditional trees are there in some deep forest areas. So our institute, that is Ayurveda YSTAD, has published one book, that is Aushadhi Rana Vanatil, and the importance of that, including Rasaviri Vipak, has been also mentioned there. I will share the book with you as soon as possible.
Thank Pawanji, please, Rajanji, please put the name of the book on the chat box so that we can keep it.
That is in Marathi, but I will put it.
Thank you.
I will share with you.
Sir, I have got a small inquiry. A small submission, because our Ayurvedic Vedyas are there, Professor Domaji and Rajan Shankarji very much with us. Harishji might be there. Yesterday they were talking about the Tenosperma cordifolia, and they have got objections some that it may not be given to the arthritis patient, that is special variety, and because of it has got the Ushnavirita, and it will enhance. What can be enhanced? Our summation is this: Rukshita and Shitalta. If it is Ushna, it will be helpful for the Pachan, and this arthritis because of the Amvat. So it may be helpful for the Amvat, and I have got suggestions from Ved Patankarji and Nomaji. If at all, if I may be wrong, but if it is used, it should not worsen the status of arthritis. If it is Amvat, taken as Amvat.
Correct. Yes, 100% agreed with you.
I throughout night talked about it, that Vata is because of the Rukshita and Shitalta. So when if it is if Guluchi Gilo is Ushna Virya, how it is going to disturb? वात का शमन होगा शीतलता के नाते, और रुक्षता के लिए हम पंचगुण तेल वैसे ही लगवाएंगे स्थानीय ऊपर, और उष्णता इसको आम पाचन दूर करेगा, तो आम पाचन ठीक होगा तो आर्थराइटिस को इंप्रूव करेगा ही करेगा.
जरूर मैं यूज करता हूँ गुरुजी.
थैंक यू. मैं इसीलिए इस प्लेटफॉर्म को चाहता था कि एकदम कल हम लोग डंप हो गए, हमें डंप नहीं होना है, हमें रीथिंक करना है. हम सब तद्विद संभाषा परिषद सा संघर्ष करावती. It increases the pleasure, not the battle.
Thank you. हरीश जी, अगर आपकी तरफ से 1-2 मिनट में कुछ बताना हो, प्लीज जी, प्लीज. And if थोड़ा अंग्रेजी में कहो तो then our guests will see how deep our discussions are about the guna of Tenosperma cordifolia and how it is being used for arthritis. I leave it with you, and then Pawanji can draw us to a close. Thank you so much.
So, first of all, let me give 2 points. One is about Agni. My concept about Agni is, it's not just a digestive fire. Agni, when present at Dhatu level, it has a different meaning. If Rasagni is one or the Rasa is decreased, then it can lead to unright Rakt Dhatu. This is the concept. So, when we talk about Agni, that does not mean the digestion. It is a complete digestion and as well as metabolism. Because the Ras, if Rasagni is Mandhe, then Rakt is unformed or unripe. Or Rakt Agni is Mandhe, then Mas is unformed, or there is a Ama at the level of Mas. So that Ama at various Dhatus, that can work as an antigen. This is how the autoimmune process starts. This is my concept. Because
sir, let us have in the terminology of Ayurveda itself. If it is Rasasesha gene, then it is also because the poor status of the Ras Dhatagni. So how the arm is created? Arm is created because of the indigestion. And how it reached to the knee joints, it became the Amvat or Sandhivat. So for the greater sake of, if we are not going to use Vistundivati, Shuddhukipilu, because the person suffering from hypertension, we very friendly can use this Giloy. Our approach is this one, with the help of the improving the digestion. And we used to do Satgilo.
Anyway.
We use Satgilo.
That was because it's a very wide question. The point is, if we have to talk about yesterday we were talking about the difference between immunostimulant and immunomodulator, or the immunostimulant, immunosuppressive, and the immunomodulator. These are the three terms. So what my point was that Giloy is a very potent immunostimulant, and if given in any autoimmune disorders, it can make the immune system hyper, which it did in cases of autoimmune hepatitis, which was published in the news that many people suffering from autoimmune hepatitis, their condition aggravated because of Guduchi. That was the point.
Sir, we were also talking about the different species of Giloy studies. That's why it was differentiated.
Yes.
I want to just break this discussion because Eva wants to leave us. Eva, thank you again. Thanks from all of us here for joining us today. And we have enjoyed. We will be in touch again. And we want to learn a little more about your initiatives, the two things you have given us about the Death Club and the courses. And we will be in touch. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Namaste. Bye-bye, Eva.
Bye. Bye.
We still have Sara here. Sara, you can see the depth at which some of our discussions go here. And you because you have done Ayurveda, and Sangheeta ji also is here, you can see our masters discussing.
I love it. So passionate also, and wonderful to be able to discuss in this way. We are so few people. Sangheeta and me, when we meet sometimes, we say that it's so wonderful to just be able to discuss in our way, because we are so few in Sweden, to be honest. And that's why those discussions aren't so common if we don't do them ourselves. So that's why. Thank you.
Harish ji, if you wish to continue, I think Pawan ji will give us a few more minutes on the platform just to discuss this. Yesterday, for Sara and Sangheeta's sake, yesterday the discussion was very interesting because we had an Unani medicine expert and the team with us. And they were saying there is something not correct about the use of the word immunomodulatory effects of herbs. And at that point, everybody recognized there is an immunosuppressive aspect of a herb and the immunostimulant aspect of a herb. And then we had a comment from our senior person here, Dr. Doma, about some aspects about the guna of Tinospora cordifolia. And Harish ji was here and saying that he had some individuals who overreacted, some people with rheumatoid arthritis who overreacted when given Tinospora cordifolia. And I think that comment disturbed Agnihotri ji a little bit. And so he is telling us his side of the story about the guna side of Tinospora cordifolia. And I think Harish Verma ji is telling us that we have to understand Agni in its entirety. Jataragni is there, but also Datvagni is there. So that is one argument. And I think if I understood correctly, Agnihotri ji is saying Ama always has to begin, the first place is the Mahashrota, and Jataragni is the problem there. So it is resonating with your comment, but also how to reconcile this problem of multiple types of Agnis, Datvagni, different types, how that, and so what I think Harish ji is pointing us to the fact that if there is a problem at the different levels, then you can have, although your Jataragni is working very well, but if some of your Datvagnis are compromised, there is a problem there. Am I correct, Harish ji?
Yes.
Have I understood it?
Yes, proper. Yes, you have understood properly, because different types of Agni, and Agni, we cannot always correlate Agni with digestion. We can correlate Agni with total digestion and metabolism, and even the hormones, enzymes, hormones. We can incorporate everything. We can correlate. That is one part. The other part is, and my point is that the immunostimulant mentioned in Ayurveda, particularly the Guduchi. Now the point is, can it be given in autoimmune disease where in modern medicine, the line of treatment of all autoimmune diseases is a suppression of the immune system. And if we are giving immunostimulant, it can aggravate the symptoms, which I have noticed in my practice in cases of ulcerative colitis as well as in cases of rheumatoid arthritis. That was the point. And now, if anybody want to experience, if any patient coming with history of bleeding, loose motion, urgency in ulcerative colitis, just give Guruji Ganvati, you will realize their symptoms are increasing. If patient is going for 10 times, they will go to 20 times, passing more blood, more mucus, more urgency. So this is the point. If we are making their immune system hyper with immunostimulants, it can aggravate the problem. And I was justifying that the news published by the hepatologist who observed that some of their patients who were having autoimmune hepatitis, they had aggravation of the symptoms and few people died because of consumption of Tinospora cordifolia. That point I was justifying that it is possible.
Thank you, Harishji.
So
I don't know.
We need to caution.
We need to, Agnihotriji, I don't know if that point is acceptable or not.
Okay, we are not reaching beyond stomach. Now they have ulcerative colitis or IBS, that is entirely different thing. For that question, we should not use them. It's very clear. Concept is there, scientific approach is there, and Vedyo ki approach is there. And for a light wood, I can also add that there is one more type of Agni also, that is with Agnihotri, that is with me. Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
night.
you, sir. It was really interesting to understand the
Sangheeta ji,
scientific
maybe you
evidence.
have some comments on this key, because you have studied in North India, you have studied in Kerala, you have worked in Kottakkal, this whole area of Tinospora Guruji, and how
Yeah,
it,
because that is something that we easily get. I mean, get it here. There are some companies that sell Guduchi as in a powder form, and you can get in capsules also, which I've been using really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it quite often in many cases of chronic fatigue syndrome and to correct the Agni. So, and exactly like doctor said, is for Dhatu Agni also. But I have also read some of the papers about the side effects, and it is immunostimulant. So it was really good to. And I was also a little bit careful to use it, and I use it in a powder form and in a short period of time. So I don't use it in a longer period. Instead, I just give like for a couple of weeks and then tell them to take a break. So like that, I was been using in my practice quite often.
I think Sangheeta ji,
Dr. Sangheeta, according to you, both are correct.
That was a little bit diplomatic answer now. But when I treat Swedish people,
you saved both the person, not instead of their denied, because
Anupan is also important.
Zendu company is also giving this Gilo tablet along with the Chonpras packing. So it is very safe for fever and all that. But as far as the arm pathogen is concerned, it can be used with precaution and with a short duration.
Short duration, yeah. And again, when I treat the Swedish clients, I always make sure that I give them in a smaller dose, because they're not used to the herbs. So I keep that in mind. And again, depending upon their Sattva Bala and
yeah, right.
Karl, Karl, a last comment before we draw to a close. Karl, there were two words. You brought it out. Anupan we were discussing, and then you mentioned something about Sahapan. थोड़ा सा बताओ जी. I think Rajan ji bhi hai hamare saath. थोड़ा सा, could you tell us a little more about this difference, Anupan, Sahapan?
Actually, in our Ayurveda, we have got certain preparations. It is not the Panchvid Kashai Kalpana. Bati, Churn, Batak, Lay, Kwath, decoctions, Him, Fant. So many preparations are there. So whenever we take something in a form of draghi, tablet, powder, bati, buttock, we used to use some vehicle to swallow it. For that, anything which is taken after taking the medicine is known as anupiyate panamiti anupanam. And the thing which we use along with the medicine, that is known as sahapana. As we use honey to mix the sitopladi or any Tivangirti, sitopladi, shang, godanti mixture, then we can use even desi ghee or honey or anything which can make possible easy going to the swallow. That is saipan and then anupan. So this is a good thing to make even our glottis clear. After taking, sometimes there will be some addition over the hard palate or on tongue or cheeks. So it makes clear. Even simply lukewarm water itself, it is also anupan. That depends. Font, decoction, everything is anupan if we are taking it after main medicine or main drug. This was the concept.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think Rajanji
can I
agrees
ask?
there. Please,
Yes,
Sangheeta ji, please.
I just, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Please.
You mentioned, one of the doctor mentioned about Rashtriya Ayurveda Peeth. It's about recognizing the education. So I was just thinking like to make it more, the education that I'm running right now in India, how we can accreditize like with any Ayurvedic board.
Sangheeta ji, thank you for
Dr. Pawan told, yeah.
I'm just trying to put the website, Rashtriya Ayurveda RAV website has these details. And the person who is guiding all this activity there is Anil Johari ji. I will get you, I will send you the Anil ji's contact details if you want to discuss. We have had discussions about this in this platform. It's there, archived the discussion, but if you, I will send you the details for RAV and what is being discussed for certification of courses. It's a voluntary scheme, and I think you have quickly caught that point. And if you look at the website, you will gather more information. I will send you the details, RAV details.
Thank you so much.
But most importantly, Sangheeta ji, is to see now how to make, because you have cortical connection. And
I don't have connection now. I just independently run the course.
But you have, I mean, you did your MD there, so there is a whole student attachment there. And the same thing with Sara, you have connection with the Karnataka, with ALVAS, which is a very, very important institution in Morubadri. And also Eva has connection with Uttarakhand, with Rishikesh. And together with Agnihotriji, we are discussing many things about bringing more people from around the world to Uttarakhand and to India. So many discussions are going on. Harish ji is very interested in developing initiative collaboration with Sweden. So he is also open to discussions because he is in charge of the Canadian Ayurveda College. And he's doing a lot of work there in Canada, looking at that one point that Tejal mentioned, which is what should be done to take Ayurveda for a Western audience. And we are very fortunate today that we have people like you, Sara, and people like Eva and Stina, who feel this need even more, you know, because you have trained in India, all of you have spent time in India, and you understand the challenges of taking this knowledge that is deep, very rich, and taking it to a place where people have no idea what it is, and then how to make it. And I like the point you made today of how to use some simple language, you know, simple concepts, and how to use those simple concepts just to change the mind. And then they say, oh, tell me more about Ayurveda. So that is a lovely, it's a very, very important to hear it from you, because we may not be sensitive to this. Agnihotriji may not find it, you know, he might not see it so clearly like you see it, because you've spent time in both those places. So this discussion today is very, very important for all of us in
thank you. And
seeing how to find a path to RAV, Sangheeta ji, RAV may not feel it like you do, you know, about the challenges of taking a course, developing a course, getting people interested. They may not see it as clearly as you see it. sitting in Sweden right now, sitting in Stockholm right now, they may not see it. I'm hoping that Anil Johari ji is listening to us somewhere in YouTube or wherever. They are always watching our programs, and that they will come back and ask you for some help as we go along. But I feel so glad and thrilled that we could all be here together today. And many, many points have come out. I don't know, Harish ji might want to make 1 or 2 words before we sign off on those mini herb clinics. Harish ji is there, and yesterday we touched on exactly this point.
Oh.
Harish ji, if you want to elaborate a little bit on the concept, we talked about Mohalla Clinic, and he said, you know, we have to work at a level below that of the Mohalla Clinic, because that is where traditional medicine works.
Yeah.
Traditional medicine was working in the villages. There was somebody who knew the village and somebody who grew the herbs. But we need to teach them something new. Harish ji.
For the past, Dr. Madanji, for the past many years, I am listening how to modernize Ayurveda. And many people from the scientific community, they are trying to study Ayurveda, trying to see Ayurveda from their perspective. Like some people, when they feel turmeric is effective, then the scientists, particularly of modern science, they are interested to do more research on turmeric. And finally, they developed curcumin. Now, curcumin is widely used. Now, many people now are asking, is curcumin Ayurvedic? This is the point. So we need to differentiate the modern system and the Ayurvedic. We should draw a clear line. Let Ayurveda be the traditional system of medicine. Let it be used as tradition and as a traditional system of medicine. And if any scientists want to do further research, they can take the things from Ayurveda in their laboratory and they can do further research. That will be their job. But let Ayurveda be the traditional. This is one point which I am thinking. Because if we want to fit circle in a triangle, it will be difficult. We can't fit circle in a triangle. We can fit triangle in a triangle or circle in a circle. So Ayurveda is a traditional way of living, traditional method of healing, and let it be originally the traditional way of healing, way of life also. This is one point. And as far as the Mohalla clinics are concerned, clinic generally it is more focused on health or particularly the diseases. But Ayurveda is health as well as diseases and food, lifestyle, and way of living. So it is much more than the clinic. So, but it should be 1 point below clinic, as we were discussing yesterday, because when the question of clinic will come, then there will be more the question of safety, efficacy, science, research, and many things will be observed. Then they will be asking more questions. But this Ayurveda is a traditional way of life or traditional way of health or traditional way of living, what we can say. It's a much wider term. So we need to understand Ayurveda as such as a traditional way of healthcare system.
Thank you, Harish. This is a very important point, and it's a very, you have brought out.
Can we say Ayurveda as a traditional science? Why can't we say that's a traditional science of living? Ayurveda should be the site of science.
The question comes that if you look at the definition of science,
right?
Then they ask evidence, proof, many things.
But it is organized and systematized.
Yes. So whatever, because WHO considers it as a traditional system of health or traditional system of medicine. That is fine to us. But and the other point which today came to my mind, it is particularly for Sara. that whatever herbs are available in Europe, you can also study those herbs in light of Ayurvedic system. Like in Ayurvedic pharmacology, we study herbs on the basis of Ras, Gun, Virya, Vipak. Suppose you have seen dandelion. So you can study the Ras, Gun, Virya, Vipak of dandelion. You need not to study dandelion from modern scientific method. So you can study, even we can add more herbs to Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, which are available in West. And if we can study those herbs on the pattern of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and on the pattern of Ras, Gun, Virya, Vipak, we can
That's a
add
much better.
Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia.
Sarah,
I think so. I agree. I have to say that. Yeah.
Please
yes.
elaborate. If you agree, then tell us a little more about how we can.
Yes, that's a good idea, because I think you should keep the Dravya Guna of Ayurveda, the way of explaining the herbs is so beautiful, and the modern medicines, the modern way of explaining herbs in Europe, I mean, even if they call it alternative, but the way they explain herbs, it's so it lacks so many aspects. For me, it's just I don't reach anywhere. And in the Ayurvedic way, it's complex, yes, but you can make it simple also. You can tell people to taste the herbs. And when you taste the herbs, you feel so many things. So it can start anybody can start to, with adjectives, explain the herbs. And then you can easily understand. If it's kashaya, it's very stringent, it's very easy to understand. Oh, of course, it can stop bleeding. Anybody can understand that. So I think we should keep the Ayurveda. And I know some people in Sweden, they think I'm crazy when I say all these things. We have lots of things in Sweden. We have lots of herbs and knowledge, but we have no textbooks, hardly no textbooks. Actually, to be honest, we had the witches. The witches were the best ones to prepare, actually the knowledge. We burnt all the witches. They killed all the witches also here. That was a long time ago. But anyway, we have textbooks and things, but very, very, it's not near what we have from Chinese or Ayurvedic medicine. And I think it's better to keep them parallel, but they have to interact in many ways. But so thank you. I think really I think we're making
very good progress.
Thank you.
Very good progress here. Stina ji has put a few herbs, names of a few herbs, but this is something we are discussing. Harish ji, we will come back to this point. This is a very, very important point. Rajan ji is aware of this because we have discussed this earlier. And I think Agnihotri ji will bring us some experts also. And Shantala ji is here.
Sir, if we start thinking in the same way and talking about the evidence-based, then as we know, at least we all Indians follow and accept the Vedas, and Vedas where they have got the evidence. So Atharveda is also having this Ayurveda. So many things are there. If it is their tradition, you can say that this is the say point of believing or belief, or we can say that though it is traditionally, but it is its purity and its applicability is beyond one's imagination or escalation through the laboratory. This much we can understand.
I can see what Agnihotri ji, I can see where you are coming from, but I can also see Harish ji's comments. There's a little bit of tension there. I can see a little bit because Harish ji has explored. He's coming to it wanting to preserve Ayurveda, but also making sure that we recognize some of the basic science aspects and to make a new consistent system that understands AMA and understands AMA as antigen in an autoimmune response. Now, he says that the concept of AMA is correct. The concept of autoimmune reaction is also correct. And when you go into the clinical setting, when he brings these two together, the modern science thinking and the Ayurvedic thinking, then the chances of getting unexpected effects are minimized. So he can explain the clinical outcomes much better. His clinical outcome for ulcerative colitis is understandable when you look at Brahmana aspect of a herb, along with immunosuppressive and some other aspect also. So he says, only this way can I explain my clinical outcomes, you see.
Sir, it was a great, discussion way back in 1980s, and Professor Ulupa in BHU, Professor Ulupa Saab and other, there was a concept that Ayurveda is a traditional medicine, and they were all not agreed for it. That it is a scientific medicine, though it is running in traditional, it is running in the generations, and ultimately Professor L.V. Guru sir, he in 1984 presented a paper in Erlangga University, Indonesia. I translated that later from English to Hindi, his speech. That's why I'm remembering. And there he made all things very clear. This is Ayurvedic science. It is up to us to how we escalate its knowledge in the terms of the modern medicine, because we have got two faculties there in BHU, Faculty of Modern Medicine, Faculty of Ayurvedic Medicine. They are all supporting us. So our things, as banana as a is good as a antacid. And one person from pharmacology department, Mr. R.K. Sharma, he did his PhD on banana and its alkaloids. So our traditional knowledge has been scientifically proved that whatever written in Nigantu, in Acharya Priva Sharma ji in the second part, it is true. So we got it traditionally, or we got it from Atharveda, but its scientific value is to be escalated by the parameters and understandable to the modern medicine or any other scientist of world. Okay. So simply say that Ayurveda is a traditional medicine is a little bit underestimate Ayurveda, I think. And that was a great discussion. 40 years back there was a discussion. That's why I am just putting my point here. It was in 1980. Professor L.B. Guru Sahab, he put his wonderful presentation in Erlangga University in Indonesia, way back in July 84. So if you say traditional medicine, then only we will be limited to the Akhil Ayurveda, Nikhil Ayurveda, and Vishuddha Ayurveda. Since they were running with the integrated course, integration sense is that we have got Ayurvedic science. Let you decide whether it is right or wrong. We have got a facility there in the same university. So anyway, it's a good discussion point. And today we have got over late, and I don't know, he might be cursing. He might be cursing.
Pawanji will be cursing us. Pawanji, apologies. But we will come back to this point. Sarah, thank you so much for being with us. The journey has only begun. Sangheeta ji, namaskaram.
Thank you, sir.
Namaskaram for being with us. Rajan ji, namaskar. Shantala ji, thank you for staying with us. And namaskar.